Hi y'all, good morning. What do you say? Me and you, we go for a drift today. Because I got a feeling all the way down to my loins, if we take a big stretch of a ledge, main channel ledge, like mile and a half of it, I got a feeling at some point down through here, we're gonna run into some fish today. So I'm gonna put this camera up here in the chest. I'm gonna bust out my shades. That's the first thing I'm gonna do. And then we're gonna get baited up and get after it, man. It's gonna be a sunny day, but we're gonna get after some fish here and see what we can get. So I'm gonna take a couple pieces of skipjack here to start with. We're gonna suspend baits as we drift / troll here, if you will. We don't have any current flow this morning, but we've got a little bit of wind. And I think we're gonna be able to use it to kind of move down this ledge. And so I'm gonna suspend a couple baits just vertically under the kayak. Now I'm already seeing, I'll show you here on my graph once we get our baits down this ledge we're gonna be drifting, but I'm already seeing a fish right here. So here's our first bait as I beat it against the side of the kayak there. That's a skipjack head on a Carolina rig with a Catfish Sumo bait stalker fly there under it. This stretch of the Tennessee River, I'm on Chickamauga Reservoir today. I have tore up some fish recently, but I have been anchor fishing when I have done it. And today, we're gonna get on the move. We're gonna drift a little bit. We're just gonna cover some water and see what we run into. But this rig here, exact same setup as my other one. Only difference is this is gonna have a skipjack chunk instead of a skipjack head. I'm gonna need y'all to be conservative with the bait today, unless you brought some with you, because we are low on bait. It has suddenly, as the gut pocket falls out of that bait, skipjack has gotten tough on me all of a sudden. So we're out here with the bare minimum today. I got 3 skipjack. I got a bluegill. I kept one bluegill yesterday because I had hooked it kind of deep. And so I threw him in there, and then I'm almost embarrassed to say this, but I stopped and got us some chicken last night. So that if times are good and we burn through this bait very quickly, we'll at least have something to bait a hook with. So I'm gonna wash my cutting board off here. I'm gonna get over here on this ledge, and I'm gonna show you here on my graph how we're gonna work this ledge. And then me and you gonna get after it. This is gonna be a probably 3 to 4 hour trip for me today. So what I'm gonna do is just leave this camera going. I'm gonna put y'all here in the chest. Y'all gonna see every fish caught, every snag. I hope to God we don't snag any trot lines today. It's probably been about a month ago or more now. My first trip down here, I started about where that other creek is and was trying to drag upriver. And I didn't make it far, and I got snagged in a damn trot line, had to cut everything. I was so mad. So hopefully there ain't no trot lines coming down through here. We'll find them, inevitably we'll find them if they are, but we're gonna go raw and uncut today, unedited. Y'all gonna see everything from right now while I'm dropping baits down until we pull out of here today, and every fish in between, and I hope there's some, man, because again, I'm feeling it down my loins. This is the drifting season. We're in the summer here now, so drifting, trolling when we don't have wind or current like this is prime time to do that. So we're gonna get after them today, man. So let me take the camera here, and I'm gonna get up here on the graph and kind of show you what we wanna do. And it's gonna be hard to see here with my small graph that I've got jimmy rigged on, but these contour lines, these areas right here where it's real dark, okay, that signifies that there's a rapid change in depth. So that's basically over here. Imagine the shoreline, and it just comes straight down very quickly. Then you get down here and it kind of levels out and bottoms out here in the river. So we're kind of drifting off here in the wind. It's kind of, the wind is pushing out of the slough right here. So we're gonna have to compensate for that. But what we wanna do is we wanna get on the edge, somewhere between here and right in here where it levels out. We kind of wanna be in the corner of that ledge, and we wanna work that line. It's called a break line. We wanna work that all the way down through here, all the way down this ledge here, because we're gonna get down here we're gonna run into, there's a couple creeks down here that I have done really well in recent weeks, just anchoring down in the creek mouths. We're gonna drift past those. We get on some fish there. We may sit there a little while, but we're gonna work down past those and just work this ledge all the way down through here today. But right now, this wind, it's kind of blowing downriver, but it's blowing at an angle, like out of this slough. So what I'm gonna do is and it's got us moving at like 0.7, 0.8, which is a little faster than I would ideally like to go. I'd like to have us about 0.3 to 0.5. So what I'm gonna do is just kind of stay on the pedals a little bit here, kind of work us at an angle, let that wind push us, but keep us on that brake line and slow our speed down so we're drifting more in that slower speed that I want to go. As the depth changes, we will raise or lower our baits to compensate for it. So I want them baits 2 or 3 feet off bottom the whole time, and we're gonna have to tinker with that a little bit just to make sure that we maintain that range. You can catch fish that are active. They'll come up higher in the water to get it. But what we don't want to do is take these, if something splashes over there beside us. What we don't want to do is have these Carolina rigs dragging on bottom. That's especially with the exposed hook and then the fly there dangling behind it. That is a recipe for disaster. We'll be snagged up for sure, and we won't even need a trot line to get snagged in. We'll just be snagged in everything else on bottom. So we just got to keep an eye on that. I'm gonna need y'all to keep an eye on that graph today. Tap me on the shoulder or holler at somebody if we get to coming up too shallow there and gonna snag everything. But I just want to take a stretch of this. Like I said, I've been doing really good anchor fishing, but we're getting into that time of year. A lot of these fish are on the nest. They're spawning. A lot of the males anyway. The females go in, they lay their eggs, they leave. They're going to come back out to these main channel areas. But there's an opportunity this time of year, not only to have potential to catch a big female fish, but also too to find schools of fish, get on numbers of fish where you just have, you know, an awesome bite and get to, you know, a lot of fish. And I enjoy that too. I mean, I obviously want to catch big fish every time I go out, but I enjoy getting action as well. So hopefully we're going to see some of that today. I mean, this stretch of the river has produced a lot of fish for me in the recent weeks. So I got a feeling that, you know, one, not all of these fish go on the nest at the same time. Now, I think right now, water temps where they are, it's 76 degrees here on my graph, but I imagine once the sun gets up, the backwater areas, because it's been so hot lately, they're probably warmer than that. There's another big splash right there. I saw some bait working on my way up through here. I should have brought my skipjack rods this morning and trolled them on my way. We could have maybe got a little bit more bait. But, you know, all these fish, they're not going to go on the nest at the same time. So we're going to have a chance at big fish today. We're going to have a chance at numbers of fish today. Clearly, if you're seeing this video, something went right for us this morning. Spoiler alert, there's some fish coming. So we got that. Y'all know more than I do at this point. You know, me being out here in the moment filming, I don't have a clue what's really going to happen today, but I got a feeling that we're going to do well, either on size, numbers, or both. And I'm fine either way. My expectations this time of year kind of shift a little bit. When we're in March, April, May, kind of the pre-spawn time period, my expectations are higher. I'm expecting big fish more often, more frequently. Just when I don't get them, it's a little bit of a letdown because I go out hoping and expecting to catch big fish. Now, this time of year, once we're shifting into June here, and I know a lot of the fish are on the beds, my expectations for big fish kind of lower a little bit. And I'm coming out with more of just hoping to get good numbers of fish and stumble into a big fish here occasionally. And I do every year. Every year during the spawn, I seem to bust some big fish. Right place, right time. And so that's what we're going to try to do today here, y'all. We're going to try to be in the right place at the right time. I love working these break lines, these channel edges. It's good places to fish. As these catfish, as they move up and down these ledges, they follow those contours. They work along the edges. So if you just, got something right here happening. Has he got it? Oh gosh, he does. Right here, we're already up to, oh, he dropped it. He dropped it, folks. We already had a nip just a few minutes in here. It's a good sign. We'll get back on the pedals. I hope I got this camera adjusted right for y'all to see everything. The way the sun is right now, I can't half see anything. But yeah, y'all, that's going to be the plan. I like suspending baits. It don't matter to me if I'm anchored, if I'm drifting, if I'm trolling. This is how I enjoy fishing. And it just so happens that these summer months, it's a good time to drift, or if you have current drift, or troll if you don't. Now this morning, I don't think we're gonna have any significant flow while we're out here. TVA is just not generating much during the morning hours right now, and by the time they kick up the flow, it's gonna be hot and I'm gonna be at the house. So we're gonna have to rely on this wind here first thing to move us, and then if it dies off, then I'll just get on the move and troll us along with my pedals here. But I do have another rod with us, and if I do end up trolling, like, you know, physically working us down this ledge versus letting the wind push us, we're going to throw out a third rod under a balloon higher in the water column. I'm not going to do that right now because we're going to have line every which way around us with the way the kayak's going to be positioned as the wind moves us. But if we end up actively trolling down this ledge, then we'll throw out that third rod. I'll show you the rig here while we wait on this fish to bite, but I've got a jig. This is a Catfish Sumo bait stalker jig. That's on the bottom, about 3 foot or so up the line. I've got a circle hook tied on, just on a dropper loop. And then we'll tie a balloon on, just a party balloon, above that. And so we'll have a bait down, we'll have a piece of cut bait down 3-4 feet under balloon, and then 3 feet below that, a jig. So we'll really work that top part of the water column. If we end up having to work ourselves down this ledge. We don't want to do it right now because our line would be, if we put it off to the right side of us, we'd be drifting into it. If we put it off to the left side, it would probably be blowing up in us, getting another line. It'd be a mess, what I'm getting at. So we're not going to fool with that right now. I'm going to raise these lines a little bit. We're coming up a little bit more shallow. That one right there was trying to get hung on us, wasn't it? Just rocking 2 rods today in my pedal kayak here because of the launch I used. It's a pretty crappy launch, much easier to get in and out of if you can manually take your kayak on and off the trailer. And this setup here's light enough I can do that. My other kayak with the motor and all that is just a chore to use at launch sites like I use today. But I put in at this creek down here below us that we're going to be drifting past here in a few minutes, pedaled up to this next slough, and I thought we'll just work this ledge through here right in front of all of these creeks and sloughs and see if we get some fish that are either staged up out in front of them or working up and down this ledge. Thought that rod moved funny. I may be seeing things out here, seeing things in the glare of the sun, but yeah, y'all, you come fish on me today. We're gonna tell some stories. I got some stories to tell, by gosh. I've had some Judy on me, man. I've had some bad karma. Things been going crazy lately. I think I found the source of the issue. Somebody's put a hex on me, a curse or something. They even killed an animal. They sacrificed an animal to try to put this curse on me. It's been crazy, so I'm gonna tell you that story. I'll tell you about my tournament that I had here recently on Nickajack, which is the reservoir below this one. We fished there for our tournament. I had a 4th place finish. I did okay fishing wise. It was everything else that went wrong. I think partially because of the hex that's been put on me. As we're coming up shallow again here. This is 48 feet here. It's coming up a little bit. That one's okay. I don't think that's accurate on our graph there because our lines are okay right now. It says 48 feet. I don't believe it is. Either that or our lines were a little bit higher than I thought. We got construction man going on over here. We'll be past him in just a little bit. You got to keep it. I can't stress this enough, y'all. If you're going to suspend fish while drifting or trolling, you got to keep an eye on your graph. You got to pay attention to that thing because the depth will change on you, and you don't want to spend all day either snagged up or with your baits really high up in the water column away from any fish. I mean, it's just, you got to keep your baits in that strike zone, so you're going to have to tinker with it. Now, the best places to do this, at least my opinion anyway, are ledges that are fairly consistent, where you can go for a long stretch and not really have to fool with them. If you got a lot of ups and downs, like an undulating bottom or just a lot of debris on bottom, you're going to be in for a bad time. It's going to take the fun out of it, just constantly having to adjust your baits every minute or so and then getting snagged up and whatnot. You're just, I don't think that suspending is necessarily the best technique in those situations. Oh. Okay, has he got it? He's after it. He wants it. I think that was a small fish there nipping on that head. Yeah, he just come up for a nip. We didn't want that one. We want a fish today big enough to eat that head or that chunk. No more bait than we got. We don't want to waste it on them super small ones. I don't know what's up with the skipjack right now. I've not been getting them where I normally get them this time of year. We had our spawning run. They were super easy to get. They leave those areas, start moving back downriver, and normally you can follow them pretty predictably. For whatever reason this year, I've had trouble locating that school, and I don't know why that is, but it is. The area that normally I would be getting them at in good numbers and good size right now, they're not there. And I don't know if it's, maybe they got there early and I missed them. Maybe they're going to show up late and they ain't got there yet, but they ain't there. So I'm scrounging around trying to find us bait for these trips, and I got on one area yesterday and found some skinny spawned out skips there, got 3 of them to bite, and that was it, man. So we just rolling with what we get right now. You got to take what the river gives you. And right now it's giving us very few skips. I saw more skips from the time I launched till I got up here to this slough than what I saw all day yesterday hitting 2 different spots. So that's just the way it is right now, but we'll get back on them eventually. And in the summer months, I will supplement in with some other baits too. I like white bass a lot in the summer months. So if I don't find us some skips here soon, I'll start targeting white bass. As they saw some wood over there. Got some carpentry going on today. We're distracting them from their work day, and they're distracting us from our fishing day. We'll be past them here in just a little bit. I think once we get down here, it's pretty much just creeks and woods down through here. So it should be the last civilization we see for the rest of the trip. Unless we end up, and we may do this, depending on how much water we get to cover this morning, we may cut over to the other side of the channel. Once we get down here to this bend, we're gonna work this side of the ledge this morning, but when we get down here to this bend where that marina is down there, we may cut over to that outside bend. We'll see. It depends on how much we cover, how much water we cover this morning. I don't know. At this point, I don't know how far we're going to move along down here. And honestly, having not drifted this area before, I just started fishing this area this year, just in the last few weeks. My first time ever down here was just a few weeks ago. I'm not good at judging distances to know how far is it down there, you know. I can't just look at it and say, oh, well, it's a mile and a half away. It's going to take us 3 hours to get there. I can't. That's above my pay grade. But we'll see where we get down through here. And if it's still early in the morning and we got time, we'll cross over to the other side of the channel, work that outside bend a little bit. But I think we're going to, at some point down through here, we're going to get on some fish, man. We're going to stumble into a school. We're going to stumble into a big fish. It's going to happen. We just need these super small fish to kind of leave our baits alone so that they're in good condition when we get to them. I have that extra chicken. I got a pack of chicken to bring with us. If times get, I won't say if times get hard, if times get really good, I guess, and we've gone through our 3 skipjack, we'll have something to bait a hook with, and we'll catch fish on the chicken. It's just not a bait I like to use, even though I got my ass kicked in the tournament by a guy using chicken. It's not a bait I really like to use. Greg Lee, he's a regular viewer. He had sent me a super chat donation there in the comment box recently and asked me to do a video with skipjack side by side with chicken. Oh, we got hit here. There we go. That one's hooked up. That one's hooked up, buddy. Yeah, he's on there. He's headed out. He's going to spin us around here, I reckon. It's a blue. I felt him rolling. Come on up here, fish. You're going to be number 1 on the video. How far are we into this mess? 24 minutes in. Took a little while today. Yeah, fish number 1, though. I see some more there on the graph, too. He's got friends with him down there. One of them's got my head bait. Look, it's swimming behind us here. We'll get him up here to the surface and we're gonna pick up on this other one over here. Yeah, there he is. Don't you throw that bait off either there, fish. Let's see what's going on. Yeah, here's another one. We're doubled. We're doubled up, y'all. We went through a school. I see more of them on the screen there too. I think this one in my hand might be a smidge bigger than his friend over there. It's fun, y'all. You get multiple rods going down, and you go through these schools. I mean, we're using 2 rods today, but you got 3, 4 rods down. There's times all of your rods will go down at the same time when you go through these active schools. Boy, look at him pull now. He got mad, didn't he? Oh, that's why this one's foul hooked. This one here is foul hooked. That's why he felt a little bigger. He's throwing our head bait off. He got the fly in the chin there. He's throwing our dang head bait off too, didn't he? I told you, man, it's something about when you got very little bait, it never fails. The fish are going to throw off or eat every single piece. Every time, man, every time you come out with minimal bait, that's how it's going to happen. All right, fish, you ain't coming in the kayak. We got a no foul hook rule here in this kayak. There. You tangled up in the line. There you go. There he goes. Okay. Let's get his friend undone here, and then we're going to run back up. We've drifted off this ledge a little bit fighting these fish. We'll run back up here by the construction workers and drift back through that school again. So here's a little bit bigger than I thought he was when I first got a look at him. Oh, of course he's throwing the bait off too. I don't know if we're going to land this one or not. That hook's coming out the bottom of the mouth, and I almost wouldn't mind if he'd just go ahead and pop off here. He's going to be hard to get hold of the way that hook is. You can calm it down now, fish. There you go. Here, fish, you're number one. I'll give you 1 minute or less of front camera time, fish. I can get that screen on there. Y'all take a picture of this fish. I'm not going to post him on social media, but it'll make his day to get on the video like this. A fish this small don't normally get front camera time, but it's his lucky day. Get out of here, fish. You go home and you tell the world what I've done for you. Dang fish. Hey, y'all, that was fun, man. 2 fish doubled up like that. I saw more there on that school, so let me put y'all back in the chest. Let's go ahead and cut our baits. We ain't got nothing in the water right now. We'll cut our bait up, and then we'll run back up here, see if we can get us some more out of that same school. Normally, let's say I was in my other kayak with the motor, I'd push that spot lock button and sit there on them fish. Now, obviously out here today in my pedal kayak, we don't have that option. So you can either try to fight them fish using in place there, using your pedals, or you can just move back up wherever you finish up when you're done fighting a fish. Just go back up above where you were and come through it again. If that school that we went through, if they've moved on, if we can't locate them again, well, ain't the end of the world, is we're gonna find some more down through here. Them schools, it's almost like I feel like they're like dogs. They travel in a pack. And when you work these ledges, you go through these schools. They might be 6 or 8 fish of them. And you go down a ways, and next thing you know, you're in another pack of them, 6 or 8 fish. And usually in these summer months, at least in my experience, you work in these ledges, you're not finding schools of 50 fish. It's just smaller clusters of fish. And so the more water you can cover, the more opportunity you have to run into them. Yeah, we're just gonna work right back up here. It'd be nice if we could find some fish away from these construction workers up here. Y'all know I don't like talking on camera around people, even though these people, they probably can't understand a word I'm saying anyhow. There's fish splashing around that dock they're working on over there, though. I don't know what them, I think they're probably skipjack I was seeing busting coming up through here, but could be white bass too. Yeah, we'll just, I can't remember where we were at when we hooked them fish. Either way, we'll start right in here. Like I said, we'll find us some more if that school is gone or if we ain't went up enough to get back on it. Ain't the end of the world, folks. Let's put us another head bait on here. Head and chunks, what we're rolling with here to start with. We got this head and one more, plus our bluegill if we want to go that route. I could have maybe kept some more bluegill. I just didn't really want to. I just don't do as good on bluegill. I thought I would down there on the tournament on Nick and Jack. My pre-fishing day, my biggest fish come on bluegill. I only pre-fished one day though, so my sample size was kind of small, but I did get a pretty good fish on my pre-fishing day on bluegill. But tournament day just wasn't much happened for me on tournament day. I caught 3 fish total during the tournament, which got me 4th place, but didn't cash in it, and just didn't have a good experience out there, man. It was a tough day. I had a lot go wrong. Part of that hex, I think, has been put on me. I'm pretty sure I know they've sacrificed an animal because I found the dead animal in the kayak. That's how far these guys will go to beat me in these tournaments. They'll put a damn curse on me and sacrifice live animals. All right, we're back in the game here, folks. Yeah, y'all, for those of you that, my tournament video should be the video right before this. But for some of you that maybe didn't see it or didn't want to listen to me whine and complain for 30 straight minutes, I'll give you the short Cliff's Notes version of what went wrong for me that day. First off, it started before the tournament. I recently got hit with a rock in my car. Well, there was another big splash right there. I got hit with a rock, cracked my windshield, which I'm still waiting to get replaced. That's allegedly going to happen tomorrow. It's taking forever for them to be able to get to me, replace my damn windshield. So that kind of started my bad luck. And then we get out there on tournament day, and I can't even start fishing right away because it's storming. And there's a little break in the weather before the next round of storms is coming. And so I hop out on the water. And I didn't do any good. I didn't catch any fish during that little brief time period I had before the next round of storm, but the storms are coming, so I gotta get off the water. And my plan was just pull the kayak up on the bank, go sit in the car, ride it out. Well, I'm obviously in a rush trying to make it back to the car. And I hopped out on this boat launch that was covered in algae. I mean, super slick. You got to be careful in that situation, and I didn't have time to be careful. And I took one step on that concrete out the kayak, and man, it was like Johnny Lawrence, Karate Kid, sweep the leg, Johnny, as this rod goes down. We're back on some fish right here. Back on some fish. Oh, he's gonna pull a little bit now. Okay. Y'all remember, we're here by that white lawn chair in case we need to come back up here in a minute. Just gonna use the pedals and try to keep us up here this time. To be continued on the story. This fish don't want me telling it, apparently. This fish is embarrassed for me. Fish number 3, though. He better have left that bait on. Can't be doing that nonsense today, fish. We need every bait. For those of you that's always on me about not using tail sections of the baits, guess what? We're gonna be using them today. Oh no, he's thrown the bait off. Or eat it one. You danged old fish, why'd you do that for? He's dark too. You all heard me tell these fish. Oh Lord. You got me all soaking wet. Y'all heard me tell these fish to leave them baits on, didn't you? I'm pretty sure I told them first thing, don't do that. You know, don't knock them off because we're gonna need them. And this in here, he didn't listen or he didn't care. This is an inconsiderate fish, and he just got me soaking wet too. Which I'm already hot, so it ain't the worst thing in the world, but still. This thing is dark. He's dark all the way to his belly. Come here, fish. The old bait stealing thing. Oh Lord, he's wound. I bet y'all got water all over your face right now, don't you? You probably can't see a thing. This fish, he's got me soaking wet. You're an ornery old devil. The smaller the fish, the more ornery and more they want to get you wet. I'm gonna bust out the pliers on this thing, I reckon. There. There we go. This fish had a bad day. He got the hook in the mouth and he got him a belly button piercing with the fly. Let me look at y'all. Have you got water all over you? There you go, that fish. He done a number, didn't he? I want you to look at his belly though. If I can get hold of him, look at his belly, how dark he is. He's real dark up through here too. Out in there's been in the shallows a lot to have gotten that dark. But I'm gonna get him out of here because he don't understand indoor behavior. That fish there's got no manners, he's got no raising as this other rod gets hit here. He's after it. He's after it. I'm gonna pick up on it. I think he's got it. Yeah, almost a double. If we hadn't let the other one go so quickly, we'd have had us a double. I tell you, we're on some fish here, man. None of them's been big yet, but this is how it is fishing these summer months during the spawn. You can go out and you can get you a lot of action, and you put enough time in, keep your baits on good structure long enough, you're going to get you some big fish. This one ain't going to be one of them. Oh, that's a channel cat. Don't you throw that head bait off, channel cat. Oh, come in here. I wanted to land him quick because he's got that head bait on and I don't want to lose it. Old channel cat, we ain't looking for you today. Look what he's eating. Now y'all, this video's raw and uncut. It's unedited. Tell me where that fly's at. It's in the mouth. I've been calling these people out that are accusing me of being a liar and such, and manipulating footage to make it look like these fish are eating these flies. Folks, they're eating. That in there's got it right in the corner of them dang mouth. He's a channel cat, and he don't count for nothing. I hate channel cats. Get out of here. Get out of here, acting that way. At least he left our... He's been more courteous than the blues, though. He left our head baits on. Let's run back up here to this chair where we caught that other one. We could probably, with the way things are going here and just seeing how many fish are in this area, we could probably just free drift down through here and pick off some fish, but I really want to work these contours. I think if we're going to have a chance at a big fish, that's going to be the way that's going to happen, is if we really spend the time working this channel edge here. We're going to cut us. We'll get up here. I'll drop that head bait down. We'll cut us another chunk, and then we'll get back on the drift. But this time I was smart enough to remember to look and see exactly where we were at when the other fish hit. It was right here in front of this lawn chair. And keep an eye on things like that. Just a visual marker, you know, so you can know exactly where you need to come back to. Be a big help if you're in a kayak that don't have spot lock. And you know, I go back and forth on this. Having a motor, especially one with GPS functions, super handy tool. Especially situations like this where you're drifting, you get on some fish, you just want to sit there. But it's not something you have to do this. And honestly, it's, you know, this kayak here is a lot lighter weight than my other one. It's a smaller profile. It's a lot of fun to get towed around in these kayaks. And smaller fish, even like what we've caught today, smaller fish can get you spinning around and take you on a sleigh ride, man. They have the ability to do it when you're in a kayak like this. Now, if you got a motor that's spot locked you and going to hold you in place, well, you know, you're not going to experience that as much, of course. But a kayak like this, man, we're gonna go on some sleigh rides today, even for getting fish the size like we've caught so far. Get them scales off the hook there. Okay. I promise we'll be away from construction man up here shortly. I got the fancy pants microphone on, so hopefully that sawing ain't too obnoxious. It's probably more obnoxious for me than it is for y'all, with the microphone probably drowning a lot of that out. All right, let's drop our head bait down. Yeah, so anyway, y'all, go out in that tournament, and I tried fishing in between the storms, didn't catch anything. And before I ran to the dock, I put my live baits back, because I'd taken some live baits down. I had some bluegill, I had a yellow bass, and most importantly, I had a live crappie. And I dropped him down first thing, and when I had to make a run for the storm, I took my time, I reeled him up really slow, try to let him decompress, not get the barotrauma, you know. I stuck him back in my bucket. Well, I go over the dock, I take one step out, and it's Karate Kid, sweep the leg Johnny. I mean, that boat, I'm gonna call that boat ramp Johnny Lawrence from now on, because I mean, it took out my leg. I'm feet up in the air, bam, down on the concrete, into the water. And this concrete and this algae is so slick, like, I can't, and the ramp, it's steep. Like, I can't stop sliding. I'm in the water now, and I'm sliding down the ramp. I can't get any traction. Like, I'm using my hands, my feet. Like, I can't get back up this ramp. And next thing you know, like, I'm all the way down in this ramp, like, neck deep in the water, to the point my life jacket's floating me. Like, my feet can't touch bottom. That's how far I've slid off. And so, again, I'm trying to get out the damn storm. So I'm like, well, I'll just jump up in the kayak. Well, that was stupid, because I had my bait bucket there. I had all that weight sitting on top of the kayak. So when I went to pull the side of the kayak over to pull myself up, here goes my bait bucket. And there goes my live baits, including that crappie, gone. My premium bait. I just knew I was going to tear up a big fish on that crappie. Gone. So I'm pissed, man. I'm just fit to be tied. I ended up swimming to the dock, pulling myself up, and then shoving the kayak over on the bank and going and riding it out in the car. I get back out on the water, and I'm soaking wet all day, man, down to my underwear, which I'll tell you another story about my underwear here. Y'all care about this, I know, but I'll tell you another story about that in a little bit. I'm out there in damn swamp-ass wet underwear all day because of this. And I get back on the water, man, and TVA kicked up the flow at that point, and all this grass starts coming down. Like, I've never seen so much grass before. Like, it's just coming up shallow here. I've never seen this much grass down there before. Like, it's just ridiculous. And all my lines are just covered in grass, debris that's floating in the river. Like, it was so difficult to fish. And I ended up, I grinded it out. I got my limit, got my 3 fish. I forget what my score was. 101, 103 inches, something like that. Got 4th place. But we get back to the launch, to the check-in, and I was in 3rd place till like a few minutes left to go in the tournament. And then this guy decided to submit all his fish. And so that was another kick to the gonads that day. I ended up finished 1 spot out of the money. And the guy that knocked me out of the money, Ryan, he won it, the tournament. The guy that finished 2nd place and knocked me out of, the one that submitted his fish late, he was a bass fisherman using chicken for bait. So that was just made matters worse to get beat by, y'all know how I feel about that chicken for bait. And so for me to get beat by somebody using it's just the best, on top of that day. But I was having all that stuff go wrong. And some days it's just like that. That's how it is in life. We all have good days and bad, good luck, bad luck. That's just part of life. We all experience it. But when you have days like that, I always wonder, like, have I got something on me? Have I got some bad Judy on me? Some bad karma? Has somebody put a hex on me? Well, I found out somebody did put a hex on me. And I know this to be true because yesterday I go out to make my bait run, right? Now, on tournament day, I was in my other kayak with the motor and gadgets and all that. Yesterday, I take this kayak out to go after my bait. And I'm out there fishing through the morning, and I keep smelling death, which isn't uncommon. My kayaks typically stink. Both of my coolers, they're rancid at all times. So it's not uncommon for me to get a whiff of something exceptionally nasty. But I just kept frequently smelling something that was just death yesterday. And I didn't have any bait in the cooler at all. Like, there wasn't anything. I mean, the cooler always stinks. But there really wasn't anything that should have been stinking in the kayak yesterday. So I couldn't figure out what that smell was coming from. But anyway, I get back, I finish up, and I get back to the launch. I'm strapping down the kayak, and I see a bird's tail feathers behind my cooler. like between my cooler and the side wall of the kayak there in the rear tank well area, I see tail feathers. I lift my kayak or my cooler up, and I'll be damned if I ain't got a dead bird in my kayak. And it's been there for a hot minute because it's covered in maggots. Somebody, and it's probably one of these tournament guys that was hell-bent on beating me, they sacrificed a live bird to put a hex on me. And it worked because I had all them problems. Everything went wrong for me on tournament day. Hell, it cost me a damn windshield in my car. All because somebody wanted to beat me in tournament and put a hex on me, and they killed a live bird and put it in my kayak, folks. And it was covered in maggots. I had to get my pliers and get it by the tail feathers and throw it out there at the boat ramp. I mean, just pure craziness what people will do to you. Yeah, but yeah, that's what I kept smelling. I'm out there all morning. Can't catch bait for diddly poo, you know, can't figure out why. Well, it's because I had a hex put on me. I had a dead bird rotting right behind me in the kayak with maggots all over it. And I know maggots are, you know, their job is to clean stuff, right? I mean, they break down these dead animals, and they're oftentimes used in a medical setting too, like wound debridement and stuff, but they creep me out. Like, I don't like maggots. Like, I get this, like, want to puke feeling with maggots. And so, yeah. So anyway, I got rid of the dead bird. I washed the maggots out of the kayak. I need to spin around about 3 times and throw some salt over my shoulder and burn some sage, I guess, to get the Judy off of me. But I'm convinced somebody put a hex on me. I know they did. When they sacrifice them, it's like Joe Boo from that movie Major League. Or it was Pedro Serrano. Joe Boo was the little voodoo statue he had. But remember when they were playing for the pennant, as we get another hit here. This fish, he's going to sacrifice a live chicken too. He's got it now, buddy. He's got it now. Oh, ooh. All right. Oh, my other one got hit. My other one, there it goes. We're doubled. We're doubled. We're doubled up. We've went through another school. I see them right there on the screen. Look right there. You see them? We're right here in front of this creek now. Yeah, we'll sit here a minute. This is where I've been getting some good fish on recent trips, right here in front of this creek. The old Pedro Serrano in Major League, he was going to sacrifice him a live chicken there before their game to win the pennant. And I'll be doggone if somebody didn't do that before they went on a tournament against me. But look right here, man. Okay, this one here's a little better fish. That's a fun-sized link. He's just skinny. Let's pick up on this one now. I think this one here might be a little better, folks. This one here feels pretty good. He's not even really fighting. I'm just kind of pulling him right now. We've had several fish already, especially considering I'm just using 2 rods. It ain't like I'm out here with 4 rods, or some of these guys in kayaks, you know, now, hell, they're using 8 and 10 rods. Yeah, this one here's gonna take us on a little sleigh ride right here now. He is a blue. I felt him rolling just then. Yeah, buddy. I think this one here in my hand's gonna be the biggest of the morning so far, unless he's foul hooked or something and just fooling me. That could be the case too. That happens. But he feels pretty good. If he's foul hooked, I hope he comes off before I see him. That way we'll have the big one that got away. Some big, oh, that's a good fish. That's a good one. This is gonna be the biggest one in the morning right here. You know what I'd kind of like to do? Because we're still right here in front of this creek, we'll land one, rebait, drop it down, then land the other. Because there's a pile of fish right here. I don't know if you can, my rod's blocking it on the graph. Look how many fish are right there. We're on a pile of them right here, man. I wanna get a better look at this big one though. Yeah, it's a good one right here, man. This is a good fish on the head bait. Yeah, love it, buddy, love it. This is fun, man. 2 rods go down, same time. We're just drifting along, minding our own business, telling stories about that 1980s movie Major League, Pedro Serrano and Joe Boo, and then boom, 2 big fish on. One big one and one fun sizer. Man, this is fun, y'all. I love me some summertime drift fishing. Don't need fancy gear and motors and all that. You can be out here in a basic setup kayak. Got 2 rod holders and a little 5-inch screen basic graph. Something to show you your depth and your speed. That's all you need. Let's see if we can get hold of this thing. He's hopefully about ready. He don't feel like he's ready though, is he? He don't feel like he's ready yet, folks. He's wanting to be ornery still. The other one at least should be about tired out by the time we get to him. I want to go ahead and land this big one here. I still ain't seen exactly where he's hooked at. Even make sure that he's hooked good. Yeah, that's a good one, buddy. We're getting numbers and now we're getting size too. It's a good day, y'all. All right, fish. Time for you to calm down now. It's time to calm down and act like somebody you whooped. You whooped whether you want to be or not. Okay. Yep. Oh. I'll tell you what. Y'all set up here in the front seat. If y'all ain't gonna help me net this fish or anything, y'all set up there and just watch the daggone show. It's a dang, every time I go to land a big fish like this in a kayak, it's a SHIT show, you know. Okay. Yep. Yep, fish could have done without you spinning there last second, but hey, fist pump, y'all. We got us a good one. We got us a good one. Got our bait back too, even better. We will definitely take advantage of that. In fact, here's what I want to do with this bait. Because it's not hooked very good, I'm gonna take it off the hook for a second till we're done with him. That way we don't accidentally lose it. There's some boat wake here all of a sudden. I don't know where that come from. Take a picture of this fish with me, would you? I want to take a picture of this fish. Okay. Yes, y'all. This makes me happy right here. Again, you know, you get this time of year, all the fish on the nest, fish this size get a little harder to come by. But you put your time in, you get out here, you work these contours, you work these main channel ledges, and you soak baits, and you do it long enough, you get rewarded. And we got rewarded right here with a dang good time, doubled up. This other one over here ain't shabby either. He's a fun sizer, but he ain't this quality. Nice, man. I love it. All right, fish, let's send you packing. He's out of here, head first into the pool. All right, what I want to do before we land the other one, I'm gonna run us back up here, right above this creek here where we was at, where we were seeing all them other fish. We'll drop this head bait back down, and then we'll land our other one here. That way we go ahead and try to work as efficiently as we can. You know, it's not as easy to work efficiently in, you know, a kayak without the, we're pulling this fish here behind us too. Come on, fish. Well, I'm towing you like on a ski boat here. You know, it ain't as easy to work efficiently in this setup where you don't have access to the motor and the spot lock and all that crap. But, you know, when we're out here fun fishing, we're just out here to enjoy the morning, have a good time. Working efficiently, it's not as important as it is, you know, maybe like on a tournament day where you got to grind and get every bite, you know. We just out here, we're just going to have some fun today. Just enjoy ourselves, and I'm enjoying myself. Here comes a boat. Good, he's gonna keep going. I was worried he was gonna cut in here to this creek. Okay, I'm seeing the fish again on the screen. Yeah, how'll do, partner? I'm seeing the fish again here on the screen. We're gonna go up here just right above them in this creek, and we'll drop this head bait back down. But I mean, yeah, if we were, obviously if I was in my other kayak and we had 4 rods out, times like this where we had 2 go down at the same time and we got another pile of fish there on the screen, you know, we're probably gonna have, in that situation, have 4 rods go down potentially. Or catch other fish while we're landing with the other ones, you know. But a day like today, I'm just out here having a good time, having fun. I don't really care how many fish I catch. I just want to catch fish. So here goes that bait. Send it back down. We'll land our other one. Don't know if he's still got that chunk on there or not. If not, we'll cut another piece. But I guess, you know, the main point with all this, you're doing this style of fishing, you don't have to have a $5,000 kayak with another $5,000 in gear on it. Like, you can come out in a basic setup and have a reasonable expectation to do well and catch fish. Oh good, he's left the bait on, at least for now. It's on there for now. He's hooked in the bottom lip though, and he's still wound. Will you be good for a minute, fish? Don't you roll now and put that hook in my finger. See where he's at right there, coming right through the bottom lip. Got the bait back though. Yeah, this is the fun sizer right here, man. Fun sizer, and an even bigger one right there. Back. Same time. This one, you've had a bad time, fish. He's got his fin tore up over here. I don't know if you can see right there. The bones popping through right there. Looks like it's about rotted right there on his fin. Yeah, not bad, y'all. That's a good series of events right there, buddy. I'll take it. I'll take that right there anytime. I'm having fun out here this morning, y'all. I'm having fun. I told you, I just felt, and I got out here. As soon as I turned on the video, I'm like, man, I'm just feeling it all the way down my loins. It's gonna be a good day. Once I got that bird out, the dead bird and all the maggots out of the kayak, I thought there's a good chance I've got the bad Judy off of me. The curse is gone. And so, I'm feeling good about it, man. We're gonna catch some fish today. And here's the other thing, filming this on a weekday, unlike tournaments that are always on a weekend for some dumb reason. Don't have all the pleasure boat and bass boats and all that. We'll see some bass boats today. You always see them on Chickamauga. But Saturdays in East Tennessee, it don't matter where you're at, there's a bass tournament going on. And that's how it was for our tournament there on Nickajack. Once the storms passed, the sun come out, man, bass boats everywhere, pleasure boats everywhere. It was a time. Y'all ain't got no water on the screen, do you? You got a little drop there. I don't know if it's obstructing your vision. All right. Hey, y'all, fist pump for sure. Where we at? We're barely an hour into this mess. We've already got several fish, including a big one. I'm gonna just turn us right here and we're gonna just kind of hover for a minute. Right here in this area above this creek. And again, this creek right here is one that in recent weeks I have anchored on and done really well. So we're just gonna kind of just hang out here just for a little bit. See if we can get some more. At school may have moved on. You know, when you anchored in a spot like this, fish periodically work through. When we're drifting or when you're trolling, you're not waiting on fish to come through, you're trying to go to the fish. So it's kind of just a difference in mindset, I guess, if you will. Either way, it's fun. You can kind of kick back and relax a little more if you're anchored and waiting on fish to come to you. Because once you've dropped your baits down and set them at the depth you want, like, you're done. Whereas when you're doing this, you've kind of got to keep an eye on that graph and tinker with things if the depth is changing, and watch where the wind is pushing you. Is the wind pushing you further up on the ledge? Is it pushing you off the ledge? Boats go by, the boat wake pushes you. So it's just a lot more tinkering. If you're the type of person that needs to be doing something while you're fishing, if you can't just sit still, and some people, for whatever reason, they just can't sit still. Just the difference in personality type. Some people can, some people can't. But if you can't sit still, this style of fishing is probably going to be a little better for you, because you're going to be constantly doing something. If you are the type of person, and I'm like this, I can just put my feet up and relax, maybe you're going to be more into the anchor fishing. It's just this time of year, summer months, I just do better getting on the move. So I wanted to come out here today. Every trip down here, with the exception of that very first one that the very first time I fished this area here, I started out trying to drag on the other side. And quickly, after I was hung in that trot, nothing pisses me off more than to drag through a trot line and get every line hung up and snagged, and this rod's head's getting hit again. Something got after it. But nothing pisses me off more than having to cut all my rigs and retie. And so after that happened, that particular day, I went on upriver and anchored on a spot. And then when I come back out on subsequent trips, then I started just anchoring down. I hit that creek over there first, then I hit this one, I went down to hit the next one, I had some success. I've come back, I've hit them a few more times. And I expect this bite to taper off, honestly, just because of the time period of the year. But I think there's just been so many fish here that we're just going to get bit. I thought I'm gonna come back and hit it again today. I got them 3 skipjack. If I'd got 2 skipjack yesterday, here's we go. Oh, he hit it. He's got it. He's got it. If I had only had 2 skipjack though yesterday, I wouldn't be down here today. But I got 3. So I said 3. Plus, we'll throw that bluegill on at some point too, that I'd hook kind of deep. But I said, we'll just come down here, we'll make the most of it. It's gonna be so damn hot today. It's gonna be a short trip for me anyway. It's gonna be one of them 3-4 hour trip kind of days. So I thought we might can stretch those skipjack out, make them last if some of these fish are generous and give them back to us. This one's not gonna be generous. He's throwing it off. It's another fish that ain't too bad though. Larger dink, smaller fun size. He's wound up. He's proud of himself for throwing that bait off. I'm seeing more fish. Look right here on the graph, y'all. Let me set that right there a second. You see all them marks right there? We're right here, 48 feet here where we're at. There's some more fish down there. We'll see if they'll eat that chewed up head bait while we get him undone. You ain't getting no front camera time, fish. Sorry about your luck. Okay. Here, I'll hold you out like that. He's a long fish. He's fun size length, but skinny. Just a long, skinny fish. Now he goes what he is. I would have gave him front camera time if he had left that bait on, but he was inconsiderate. And you can't reward bad behavior, folks. It's just it's not a good practice to do. You know, the old saying, you feed the bears, they come back. If you reward bad behavior, they'll keep doing the bad behavior. Let's cut us another sliver here. We're gonna end up using them skipjack tails though, folks. Now, I was trying to say there earlier too, for all them fish hits, so I had a regular viewer, Greg Lee, tipped me a little cash in the comment box recently. Wanted me to do a video putting skipjack and chicken side by side. And I've done that. I mean, I've got videos on my channel doing that exact same thing. And I know how the story goes. I know how it always works out. I'll catch fish on chicken, catch a lot of fish on chicken. But the better quality usually comes on the bait, the fish bait, whatever I'm using, skipjack, white bass, whatever, you know. But today, at some point, we liable to end up going to the chicken. So we might make Greg's dreams come true today, folks. It just might happen today. When he done that, made that comment in the box and whatever, I told him at some point in the next little while I was going to be going up to Sandusky Bay because I got that tournament. The next tournament is on Sandusky Bay, which is a channel cat body of water. And so I'd planned on probably taking some skipjack with me and then take some chicken as well because it's channel cat body of water and they're not particularly picky. Everybody up there on Sandusky Bay, they either fish with shrimp or they fish with chicken and they catch a ton of fish. And so I thought that would be a good opportunity to do his video there and or do, you know, try to fulfill his request and put them both side by side in a place where they can both succeed equally well. I just don't have much interest in doing that kind of thing on a normal basis because I've done it in the past and I know how it works out. But again, I did get my ass whooped in this last tournament by a guy using chicken. Now he was up at the dam freelining, and that's apparently where I should have been because I was down there fishing a deep hole, and I caught a big fish in there. And I think maybe if I had been able to fish the morning, I ended up losing almost half the tournament because of the storms. If I had been able to fish the morning time, the morning hours, I think maybe I might have had a chance down there where I was at. But once they kicked on the generators and all that grass come down, it was hard to fish right there because I just kept getting grass in my lines, and it was the current was so strong, and I was fishing over 100 feet deep, and so the resistance on my lines from the grass kept moving my baits up in the water. I kept having to try to compensate. At one point I had 16 ounces of lead on trying to keep them down and still couldn't keep them vertical under me. It was just so much grass. But yeah, I got beat by a guy using chicken, so we're gonna probably end up at some point this morning using it. I'm sure we'll catch some fish on it, but I suspect our chance at the biggest fish is gonna come on a skipjack head, most likely. We're gonna give that head a little bit more time, and then what I'll do, I'll switch it out. I'll keep it, but I'll switch it out with the other skipjack that we have left in the cooler that's fresh. We'll put on the fresh head, and then once we're out, basically, then we can recycle these older heads. Normally, when I'm fishing in this kayak and I'm only using 2 rods, I like my baits to be just both super fresh. If you're only going to use 2 baits, keep them in good condition, but we just don't have the option to do that today with the limited bait that we have. It's unfortunate. I hit 2 different spots yesterday. I went to the spot where I should be getting them right now, got nothing. Went to another spot where I've been getting a few and got them 3 super skinny skipjack. It's a weird year. Things were going real well for skipjack there for a while, and then they moved, and I haven't been able to adapt. We're adapting to this fish though. Here we go. Got us another one. We're hooked up again. On the chunk that we just dropped down. Well, I'm just gonna keep us kind of sitting here in front of this creek for the time being, until such a time that they stop biting, and then we'll make our way down until we get on the next batch of fish, and we'll sit there on them. That's, one of the fun things you can do here with drifting is you cover water until you get on fish, and then you sit there and pound them. And then when they move on, the bite stops, we'll go find some more. Come here, fish. It's another super skinny fish. Come over here. I don't feel like it's done. Do you feel like it's done? I feel like there's some more flopping and showing out that needs to happen here. Uh-huh. You've thrown the bait off too, ain't there? There you go. I knew it was. There wasn't enough of this. There wasn't enough of this in the fight. I knew it was coming. You got rid of the bait, didn't you, fish? Well, you blew your chance at front camera time. Tell your friends down there, if they want front camera time, one of 2 things. They either got to be really big fish today, or they got to leave us the bait on the hook. That's your options for getting front camera time today. Let everybody know. Pass the word around. This fish said it don't work for me. It ain't gonna do nothing for me. I'll at least put you in the light there. Listen at it talking. Well, now it ain't gonna talk. Silly old fish. It had a mouthful to say till I pointed out that it was talking, and then it ain't got nothing to say. Well, here's what let's do. Let's bust out that final skipjack. We'll use a head and a chunk. And we're gonna Boy, at the pace we're on, if these fish don't start giving some more baits back, we're going to be going to the chicken early today. The good news is, though, if we do end up going to the chicken fairly early in the trip, it means that we've caught us a bunch of fish, which is the goal. I mean, that's what we wanted to do coming out here today. We wanted to catch a bunch of fish, wanted to catch a big fish. We've accomplished both so far. And the morning is young. See this skipjack here, I mean, it's super skinny. And it's just, they're spawned out, man. They're on the move. They're in transition right now. I will eventually get on them again. I just haven't been able to locate them. Yeah, there's the rest of our cut bait options right there. Maybe once we go to the chicken, maybe we'll catch some really big fish on it, and it'll make me a believer in it. And then I can just go to the store and get my bait from now on. Boy, that'd be so much easier than having to go out and catch it. I'd almost feel like a bass fisherman. You know what I mean? Like them bass fishermen, they've got boxes and boxes full of lures, and they'll spend $10 on a crankbait. We can go spend $7, $8 on a pack of chicken and fish all day. So it'd be I'd pay. I'm cheap. I don't want to pay for bait really. But if it was a situation where I could buy a pack of chicken for $8 and be able to go fish all day, I would do that. Now, the problem I have with buying bait, as far as like buying skipjack and stuff, yeah, that bait there is looking rough, man. Bait is looking rough condition, but we're going to keep it just in case. The problem with I have with buying skipjack is I have two problems with it. The big one, they're really expensive. Bait dealers in my area, they're charging anywhere from $4 to $8 a piece. So basically, every time I bait a hook, you're looking at $1, pretty much. It's going to cost you, depending on the size of the skipjack, around $1 to $1.50 to bait every hook. So you catch a dink, he knocks the bait off the hook, well, there's $1.50 gone. And I'm just too damn cheap for that. The other thing is, I don't trust the bait dealers. I want to know, when I catch my own bait, I know that bait went on ice immediately. I know it's been taken care of, and I know it's fresh. Because when I catch a skipjack, I'm going to use it within a couple days of me catching it. When you buy bait from a bait dealer, especially if you're buying from a bait shop, you don't know how they've taken care of it. Is the bait dealer, is he looking to cut costs? Did he not use ice that day? Did he not use much ice? How long were those baits? How long has it been? How old are they? I guess what I'm getting at. You don't know how they've been stored, how they've been kept. I've known guys that'll sell to a lot of these bait shops. They'll sell skipjack $7, $8 a piece, but they're buying from bait dealers, oftentimes unlicensed bait dealers. I know guys that'll go sell bait shops some skipjack under the table. And the bait shops, they don't give a crap, man. They can't keep them skipjack in stock, so they don't care what kind of condition the skipjack are in or how they've been kept. They just want them in a bag and frozen. So guys go out, throw they'll catch skipjack, put them in a 5-gallon bucket, no ice. You know, they're out there all day long, them skipjack baking in the sun. They'll go home, throw them in a baggie, freeze them, take them to the bait shop, sell them $1, $2 a piece to them, make them a few bucks. And the person that buys those skipjacks getting crap, you know, because they've rotted in the sun all day and then they're just not taken care of. So I don't want to spend the money to buy skipjack, especially when it's going to cost me $1 to $1.50 every time I bait a hook, and not know that those skipjack that they're fresh and have been taken care of. So that's my problem with it. Now, if it's a situation where you could just go to the store and buy a pack of chicken and go out and have a reasonable expectation of catching trophy fish, man, I would be all about it. But my history has just been pretty much you catch good numbers of fish, you catch smaller fish, but big fish, it seems like they're more likely to snub their nose on the chicken. And I know guys will argue with me about that. Certain bodies of water certainly seem to produce more fish on chicken than others. I think places that, you know, maybe where fish feed on mussel beds a lot more frequently maybe seem to do a little better with chicken. Santee Cooper, a lot of people over there, just a prime example, a lot of people over there use chicken. And if you've got a situation where most people are using a certain bait, well, of course, all the big fish are going to come on that bait because it's what everybody's using. But when I've went to Santee Cooper, I've caught some big fish. I think we got ourselves snagged here. Y'all let this rod get up there. Come. Y'all wasn't paying attention to that graph, was it? We got over here and we got a little over on this ledge here. We got to move back to the left. But I mean, when I went to Santee Cooper, I did really good on perch over there. And bluegill is another bait that's good. And every body of water is going to be a little different on that, right? Like, for instance, bluegill out here isn't a very good bait. I know guys that have caught fish on bluegill, and some of them have caught big fish on bluegill. The big fish down there I caught recently on nickajack, bluegill. But day in, day out, you put them side by side, which is going to outperform the other. And so I got a lot of confidence. Here's what's most important when it comes to choosing your bait. You got to use what you got confidence in. If you got confidence in it, you're probably going to catch fish with it because you're going to be more inclined to use it and use it for longer periods of time. And so that's what's going to, whatever you got confidence. So if you got confidence in chicken, go out and use it. And you're going to catch some fish on it. I know you'll catch fish on it. And you use it long enough, right place, right time, you're going to catch some big fish on it. Even if it's not necessarily the best bait to use at that particular time. But me, I prefer to catch my own skipjack. I want to catch my own. That way I know how they've been handled. I know how they've been stored. I know that they're fresh. And it don't cost me. Now, there is cost involved. Obviously, I've got gas. I've got time. And a little bit of tackle. Not much, a little bit. Let's do this. Let's just, before we move on from this creek, let's just make one more run up here to the top of it and work our way down again. And then we're going to drift our way down to the next one. So, I mean, there is expense involved with going out and catching your own skipjack. And the bait dealers are oftentimes try to tell you they're saving you money based on that. They are saving you time, that's for sure. But my situation, the time is really all I got into it. Tackle's minimal. I use jigs, plastics most of the time. That's very little money involved in that, especially when I'll oftentimes run the same rigs for a month or more before I switch out, so that doesn't cost very much. My gas to get there, I drive a car. I'm in a kayak. It's not like I've got a big tow vehicle, a truck or SUV gas guzzler, and I'm towing a big boat around, which is a gas guzzling boat. I don't. It doesn't cost me very much at all, especially with me having the ability to catch skipjack fairly close to where I live. I don't have a lot of expenses when it comes to traveling, whether it be to get to the spots or once I'm on the water. Very minimal expense. So really all I've got when it comes to bait is just time. And time is money. But I'd just rather catch my own. Now, if I could, like I said, if I could go to the store, buy me a pack of chicken and fish all day, I'd do it. But I just feel better having some skipjack or white bass or crappie, something. A big fish head is what I want on at least one rod. Every time I go catfishing, I want a big fish head on one rod at least. That just gives me confidence. I don't know why them head baits. We've had a lot of discussions about that. What is it about the head bait? Is it the eyes? Is it something about the scent that's coming out of that particular cut of bait? Is it the profile? I don't know, but there's something to it. And maybe, I don't even know where, I guess you go to a chicken farm and get them. But they got to do something whenever they're processing them chickens. They got to do something with the heads. If it's just about the eyes, you'd think you could put you some chicken heads on or something, but I don't even know where you get chicken heads at. I don't even know if that's possible. They probably do something with them. I doubt they just throw them away. It probably gets grinded up. They probably grind the chicken heads up, and the beaks and the claws and everything. That's probably what goes into that potted meat. The spams and there's another generic spam too, I think. It's the potted meats though. I think they're called Vienna sausages. When I was a kid, I used to call them the Viennas. I used to eat them things as a kid. My great-grandmother, I'd be over there watching wrestling with her, and we'd have them dang Vienna. It gagged me just thinking about it now. But when I was a kid, I didn't know no better. I've seen people use that stuff for bait too, spam and whatnot. Over there in Europe, they catch them big Wales catfish oftentimes on it. They use these rigs where they basically hair rigging it, like for a carp rig. And they'll take a block of spam, run the line through like a hair rig with the hook coming off, and I've seen them catch big fish on it. I think if you threw it out here, if you tried fishing with spam here, it's so soft. I think the turtles and the channel cats would strip your line. You'd be sitting in there with a bare hook in no time. I guess over there in Europe, they must not have turtles or channel cats, best I can figure. Because some of them have even taken underwater cameras that I've seen. And they throw that bait out, that spam, and the camera's sitting there watching for fish to come up, and ain't nothing messing with that spam. And I'm like, you know, obviously they're not fishing in East Tennessee because they got Wells catfish, but I know they're not in Tennessee because the turtles and the channel cats would be all over that kind of setup. You just can't fish for that kind of stuff here. You can, but you're gonna be fishing on credit there with a bare hook a lot. And I don't even know how much, obviously I don't buy that kind of thing when I go to the store. But I don't even know how much Spam costs now. If it's like everything else at the grocery store, it's probably went up to the point it's unaffordable too. But I bet you, when they're done processing them chickens, I bet you the heads and the beaks and the claws, all that probably gets ground up in that potted meat. That'd be interesting. I wouldn't want to do it. I can't imagine, as bad as my coolers smell now, I can't imagine what having a cooler full of chicken heads would smell like. The bird with maggots all over it smelled bad enough. I can't imagine getting there in a stinky cooler full of chicken heads. And I don't even know how you would hook a chicken head. I bet you somebody out there has done it though. The 12 of you still watching this video to this point, one of you will comment saying you've done it, or you know somebody that's done it. I guarantee it. There ain't no original ideas anymore. They've all been thought up. Somebody's already had the idea and tried it at this day and time. I'll tell you what we're about to try in a minute though. We're about to try to work our way down river here. I think them fish have, I think the fish that are here have kind of moved on. Don't know where they went. Did they go up? Did they go down in the creek? Don't know. But they've moved apparently. So we're gonna start making our way down. I feel like this wind is kind of, initially, it was kind of coming out of that other slough and kind of pushing us down river. Now I feel like it's more just coming straight out. We may have to kind of just get on the pedals here and guide ourselves down. We do have that other rod I could throw out behind us potentially, but you know, when I'm seeing those fish on the screen, I'm seeing them near bottom. I'm not seeing them up in the water column. And so I don't know that rig would be particularly effective right now, but it is something we're going to play around with a little more this summer. I caught a lot of fish on jigs 2 winters ago with the live scope, catfish on jigs. And I tried it this past winter a little bit, but never really could replicate the bite that I'd had the previous year. But I got to thinking about it, and I was like, when I'm running my balloon rigs, because I'll do that in the shallows sometimes, in the summer and fall and whatnot. And I was like, when I'm out working these ledges, especially if I'm in my other kayak and I'm using the motor and I can use the course heading and let it kind of drive for me, I was like, I should be running that balloon rig with a jig on the bottom of that rig, because when I was live scoping them, if I could put that jig on their face, I could trigger a bite oftentimes. I mean, catfish are pretty aggressive when you put a bait right on their nose. Like they're gonna eat it. And one of the things I found out with the limited success I had with live scoping fish up in the water column there during those winter months was that when a catfish is up that high in the water column, it's feeding. Like, it's active and feeding. It's not a situation where they're just up there suspended, just kind of hanging out, resting. Like, they are actively feeding. So in the event we've got that jig on and we're trolling the ledge or through a creek or wherever we're using it at, if we happen to have that jig at the right depth as we come across a fish that is up in the water column, he's gonna crush it. So we're gonna play around with that rig some this year. When I go to Hoover Reservoir in Ohio, last year I was catching some of my best blue cat on tournament day up there. I caught on a balloon rig, caught him on a fly that was under my cut bait on a balloon rig. And so I know that works up there. Now the jig will be a little bit different. I think the jigs in that situation are going to be better than the flies because the jig's got weight to it. And so it's going to be able to kind of stay down at the depth more so that I want it to be. Whereas the fly, when I'm under power and I'm moving, it's wanting to kind of come back in the water column a little bit. It's kind of trailing behind the cut bait, whereas those jigs are going to be under the cut bait as we move along. And so I think it's got a lot of potential. It's definitely something I'm going to use when I go to Hoover, because I've got really high expectations for it there. Here, I don't see a lot of fish up in the water column, but throughout the summer and fall, as we use that rig, I am inclined to believe we're going to get some on it periodically. So we'll play with it. But I don't know that I want to play with it today. Brought it, but unless we are just consistently going down this direction, I don't know that I want to fool with it today. We're in a little bit of a lull right now. That school of fish we went through has clearly moved on. But we're getting enough action out here right now that I'm pretty content with what we're doing. As we make our way down through here, we'll stumble into some more fish. We'll either get back on the school that we had or find a new one. Just basically wanting to move very slowly down through here. You don't want to go too fast. Couple reasons. One, the catfish aren't going to bite if you're moving super fast. But they also, too, when you're suspending baits, you kind of need to keep your speed at about half a mile an hour-ish. You start getting up 0.8, 1 mile an hour, it's really hard to suspend because the resistance, the water resistance on your bait and your line and sinker and everything, it just brings it up in the water column. So you got to go to some pretty heavy lead to be able to keep it down at those speeds. But by going slow, we can keep everything vertical right here under us and keep our baits at the depth we want them at. Right now we're 49 feet, and I'll show you here again. We're right on that break line there, right on the edge. This solid, see that solid line's going across right there? Hopefully you can see. I don't know with the glare and all. That's our baits picking up on the graph. Those little squiggles are, right there's a fish, for instance, small fish that had come up and looked at our bait. But we're just going to work this ledge down through here is where we want to go. Now, we've spent so much time now in front of this particular creek. I'm not confident we're going to end up making it down to this bend and crossing over to the other side of the channel today. That may be another day's adventure. Because by the time we get there, it looks like it's still a pretty good ways away. We just got thumped. Let's see what he wants to do with it. He's got it there. See if he's going to take it down. think he let it. Oh, he's back on it. I think he's got it. Oh, yeah, he's got it for sure now. He's gonna take some line. He's gonna take some line. I thought it was a small fish at first. Now I know he's a bigger fish. He took a little line there before I could get the rod out the holder. Yeah, it's a little bit bigger fish there on the graph. I'm seeing. I don't know if you can see down there under the other rod tip, but a little bit bigger. When he first hit it and come up with it there, I thought maybe it was just a dink kind of messing with it. Wasn't even sure he had it. And then when it went down the second time, I was like, okay, this is, when I saw him pulling a little line, I was like, okay, this is a little better one. Unless it is a smaller fish and he rolled or something and foul hooked himself, always a possibility. We'll see when we get him up here. Either way, we're going to enjoy the fight. Whether they're a big fish or they're foul hooked, it still feels big anyway. Meanwhile, we got our other bait down there, just hanging out in case he's got some friends. We ought to be getting close here now. Seeing some bubbles coming up right there. Oh, he's back down. He's back down. Oh, here goes the other line. We're doubled again. We're doubled. Look at it go, man. Look at it go. We'll deal with the one in the hand. I at least want to get a look at this one before we pick up on the other one. We ought to be getting close enough to hopefully get a look at this one soon. He's taking more line. Yep, we're doubled here, folks. We're in between these two creeks right now on this ledge. And we're on some more fish. Come on, fish. I just want to get a look. Oh, that's a good one. That's another good one right there, man. Another real good one. Okay. Oh, boy. He's going to take back down. Let's set him back in the rod holder. Now, let's see if this one's still on. Yep. Doubled, y'all. We're doubled again. Boy, it's been a good morning for that, man. When we go through these fish, like, we're on them. 2 rods. 2 rods, basic setup. You know, I want to keep emphasizing that because I know people see me fishing in my other kayak. And you see the other tournament guys from our kayak catfishing tournament trail. Like, you see all their rigs rigged out to the max, and it's like, I think people get a sense like you have to have all that crap to catch fish, and you don't. This one over here has still got that rod buried, man. Let's see if we can get rid of our small one here, drop another bait down, and then we'll land our big one. He's thrown this bait off, of course. The other one ate the head. Okay. Oh, fish, you got that stinger in your fin right there, didn't you? There you go. Here's his moment of fame right there. You've made your family proud, fish. Get out of here. Okay. Yeah, folks, I just want to drop another bait down here while we land this one in case there's another big one or two roaming around here, because that one right there, that's a good one over there. Take another chunk of this for this side. Well, I'd like to have me about a half dozen more skipjack heads this morning. Wouldn't that be nice? Y'all think you could go back in time and go back to the future, Marty, and bring us some skipjack heads out here right now? It'd be pretty nice of you if you could do that. Y'all show up every day more. Every time we go fishing together on these videos, I can't get you into the bait hooks. I can't get you into the land fish for me. And it's for damn sure ain't never gonna bring no bait with you. For some reason, that's always on me to catch our bait too. feel like I'm getting the raw end of the deal on this. I can't even get you to talk back. I got to carry on this conversation all by myself out here for 3-4 hours. I do need to do another live stream soon. I'm trying to get all this dang slime off this line. I ain't done a live stream in ages. I need to do that again here at some point in the near future. Obviously ain't gonna be today, but at some point soon, well, I'm gonna make a note to do that. I ain't chatted with people in a live stream, and I feel like I kind of got away from it because these videos have been, they're live for me. Obviously, you're just leaving the camera rolling the whole time. Let's drop this bait down. The camera's rolling the whole time for me, so it's kind of live. Y'all just tend to see it after the fact. But it's easier on me because I don't have to worry about cell phone service, buffering and all that. I don't have to worry about, well, the camera's overheat. But this DJI camera I'm using today, like, it keeps running when it overheats, and whereas the cell phone, when you live streaming, when it overheats, you just out of luck. Now, I've had my phone overheat numerous times. We got a helicopter here. This helicopter, buddy, if he's got a telescope up there, he's gonna get a show when I go to land this fish. What that? Hold on. Look at that helicopter up there. Oh, he must be looking at the power lines. I got power lines that go across the property at my house. And sometimes they'll have that helicopter hovering right over my house when they look at them lines and inspecting them and stuff. That fish must have pulled off some more line right there or something while I was dealing with that other fish. Oh shoot, there he goes again, buddy. This fish here is wound up, man. This is a bruiser right here. Why don't you come over here, fish? I'm gonna make you famous on this video. I bet you there's still 11 people watching. This is another good one though, man. This is another good quality fish right here. Where you hooked at, fish? Here. Y'all blocking my view with that camera sitting right there in my chest. Y'all sit up there in the front seat a minute until I get hold of this thing. Oh. Okay. Okay. Come on, fish. There you go. Oh, that's another one right there. We'll fist pump. Whoo! He's left us the head bait on too. That was the nicest thing this fish could have done for us. I don't know how good a condition it is, but it's about to go back down in a minute. Golly, I missed another one here. This one's got some weight on him, by gosh. Sorry, fish, you're about your luck. You got the sun behind you. It's a terrible picture. He don't care. This fish don't want no picture of me anyway. Nice. I don't think he's as big as that other big one. Or the rod over here, the chunk we just got down. Sorry about your luck, fish. You gotta go. You got a friend eating your other bait over here. He gone. That in there, something bumped out of the line over here. I don't think he got it. That in there, I don't believe was as big as the other big one. But still a good fish nonetheless, man. He was a dang good time. I'll tell you, it's just fun. Doing this, I love kayak fishing. But when I'm in this kayak versus my other one, just because of the size of it, it's lighter weight, it's more narrow, stable enough for me to do what I want to do, and I can fish comfortably out of this. I can land big fish in it. But it's a smaller profile, and that makes it so much more fun on both the takedowns and the fights of the fish. It's just, I have more fun fishing out of this kayak than I do my other one. The other one's better for fishing places that are a longer distance from where I launch at. With the motor, I can obviously cover more water. I can fish more rods because of the size of the kayak. I can have access to the fancy GPS features of the motor, obviously, big help, especially tournament situations. But just from going out, just having fun, like, this right here is all I need to have me a good time. This is all I need, man. Give me a kayak, a couple rods, a basic graph, I'm good to go, buddy. This bait's, it's looking rough. It's looking rough. Let's see if we can. It's seen better days. I'd love to switch it out with another head, but this head looks better than the other head we got, which looks incredibly rough. So I'm gonna drop it back down. We're gonna turn too. Them fish have pulled us down river a little bit here on the fight. I want to go back up here just a little bit where we hook that first one at, and then we'll turn and come through this area again, because I want to make sure we're maximizing in case we've moved off the school or something. Yeah, I'm not seeing much right there right now. Let's just turn and go back up here just a little bit. Yeah, I mean, it's just, and I ain't trying to sell you this particular kayak or anything. I'm just saying, if you're in the market for a kayak, one of the things I always see people that are new to kayak fishing, one of the things I always see them asking and worrying about is stability. Everybody wants the most stable kayak. And because everybody has wanted that and requested that for so long, these kayaks are just getting bigger and bigger and bigger all the time. And if you want to have a motor and carry a bunch of gear, and maybe you want to be one of these guys like in our tournaments that fish planer boards and pull 10 rods, you need a bigger kayak for that. But stability's relative. First off, when you get in a kayak, you're going to be a little uneasy the first time you get in it. Probably regardless of kayak, which one you're in, because it's going to feel, especially if you're brand new to kayak fishing, any kayak you get in is going to feel a little uneasy at first. But the more time you spend in it, you're gonna adapt to the kayak. And so it's just a matter of some seat time, really. And if you give it a little time, try out some kayaks before you commit. And I'm not trying to sell you this kayak or any other, because you can't. You can't. There's not a one size fits all. Everybody's needs are different. Everybody's bodies are different. Something that's important to me on a kayak may not be as important to you. Where you fish at is certainly going to play a role in it. If you're fishing a small river and you have to drag your kayaks up and down steep, muddy banks, or drag them for long distances, well, guess what? You ain't gonna want no Hobie Pro Angler or Native Titan or Jackson Big Rig. You're not gonna want that, because you're gonna give yourself a hernia trying to drag a big kayak through those conditions. But it's when it comes to stability, most people that are new to the sport make that their number one consideration. Personally, I think stability should be one of your last considerations, because you're going to adapt to your kayak. Man, I've caught a lot of fish. I fished a long time, caught a lot of fish. Here goes Civil War guy over here again. Every time I fish down here, he's out here banging away. Every single time, man. You know, here I am talking about spending $1, $1.50 every time you bait a hook if you buy a skipjack from a bait dealer. That guy's popping off $1 every time he squeezes a trigger over there. Unreal. He must be the richest man down here. I guarantee you, I support his right to do that, but I guarantee you all his neighbors hate him. Just having to hear it every single day. But when it comes to stability in a kayak, you're going to adapt to your kayak. The first true fishing kayak I had a cheap old Dick's Sporting Goods kayak when I first got into kayak fishing, and it was very unstable and very poor quality. But then I went to a Native Ultimate kayak, which was a kind of a tunnel hole bottom that made it feel more stable, but I mean, it was 30 inches wide. Like, I mean, it was a narrow platform. And I've caught, who knows how many, countless fish in that thing. Big fish in it too. And I adapted to it because the more seat time you get, you learn what you can and can't do, how far you can lean before your secondary stability kicks in. What you just learn, your body adapts to the kayak you're in. So stability should be one of the last considerations you take into effect on your kayak. When you're trying out a kayak, one, you need to try it out before you buy it. It's impossible to look at one on a showroom floor and know if it's going to be good for you or not. You need to get some seat time in it. So go to a demo day at a local dealer. Most of the reputable dealers will have a demo day where you can try out different brands, different models. You can go to tournaments, whether anybody in our kayak catfishing tournament scene would gladly let you try out their kayaks. But bass tournaments, you can go, and all them fellas and gals, they'll let you try. If there's a model or brand you're wanting to try out, go to one of them tournaments and be like, go up to the person and say like, hey, really like your kayak, been thinking about getting one. Do you mind if I hop in it for a few minutes and take it out? I promise you, I'd be shocked if anybody told you no. But get you some seat time in it. And more so than just feeling about how stable it is, one of the things you really need to figure out is if that kayak's layout is going to suit your needs. For instance, if you're going to be catfishing out of it, think about where you're going to put your rod holders. Are you somebody like me that likes to suspend baits? As we got another fish hitting here. He's got it on the chuck. Here we go again. Here we go again, y'all. He's gonna spin us around. See a fish like this ain't gonna be no huge fish, but you see how the kayak how he just towed us around like that? That's fun, man. Bigger kayak, you just ain't gonna get that. You ain't gonna get that kind of ride, especially on a small. It's gonna take a much bigger fish to do it in a bigger kayak. But when you're, oh good, he's gonna leave us the bait on too. You're a good fish, I don't care what they say. This fish, he said everybody's been telling lies about him his whole life, but here he is doing a good deed for us, leaving this bait on. I'm so proud of you right now, fish. Your parents are proud of you. Your grandmama, she's proud of you. Oh Lord, they ain't proud of you no more doing that. Oh. Boy, he got me good, y'all. He got me soaking wet. I was just complimenting you, fish. I was complimenting you, and you made me look stupid. You made me look like a liar, fish. Boy, Could have done without that fish. Yeah, I hear you laughing at me. Get out of here. At least he left the bait on. That's a ornery old fish right there, wasn't it? Dadgummit. I'll check y'all here in a minute. Make sure you ain't got water all over the lens. But when you're sitting in a kayak for the first time, you need to just kind of envision where you're going to put things. Because some kayaks, they're just not going to be suitable for what you're wanting to do. If you're somebody, let's say you're somebody like me, for instance, and you want to, because y'all know me, I love fishing like this. I love suspending baits. If I can suspend, that's how I want to fish. And so for me, rod holder placement and how I'm going to mount rod holders is of the utmost importance, because when I'm fishing, you take out here today, right now we're 49 feet, so we probably got, what, 46, 47 feet of line out? That's not a lot of line. And I typically, with these circle hooks, I like to keep my drags pretty tight. I got rods that with kind of stiffer tips. I like to keep my drags tight, so when them fish hit that circle hook, they hook themselves. It turns and they hook themselves. But if you're going to fish like that, you need a way to mount your rod holders securely to the kayak. So for instance, this kayak, one of the things I noticed the first time I was ever in this model of kayak, this is Old Town Big Water. I was down in Florida and I was fishing with Dennis and Rob there a few years ago. We went peacock bass fishing. They took me out to catch my first sailfish. And so they had these kayaks, and so I was in, and one of the first thing I noticed is like, I've got places to mount rod holders, because I knew I had this flat area here that I could drill holes and bolt those rod holders on, and I knew with that front hatch I could get my hand up in there to be able to attach it securely. And now once I got this kayak and I drilled in, Old Town, the plastic is super thick, so all I had to do was run a bolt, put a big washer on there and a nut, and I'm good to go. And so now when these big fish, when they slam a bait, load up the rod, I'm good. Like, I know my rod holders are staying on. But some kayaks, depending on the model, you're not going to have a way to easily mount those rod holders on. Like, sometimes you won't have a flat surface area there big enough or wide enough to put a rod holder base. Sometimes you won't be able to get up under there, because personally, I want them bolted on. That's just my personal preference. But some of the, depending on the brand, the kayak, the plastic may not be very thick. So you may need to use a backing plate. If you're going to do that, you need to be able to get access with your hand to be able to get up in there and reach. A lot of kayaks, you just don't have that option. And so, that's one of those things you need to kind of pay attention to when you're trying out a kayak or looking at them for the first time, is think about that. Like, where are you going to put your rod holders? How are you going to mount them? Now, if you're somebody, you take like my friend Ryan there, he likes pulling planer boards. That's all he wants to do. Well, in his situation, he built a rod rack that's, attaches to his gear tracks, comes up, and he's got a metal bar here with his rod holders all up there. You can do something like that a little bit more easily with pretty much any kayak, because for the fact that you're attaching the base to your rails and then elevating everything else up. But if you're wanting to fish like I do here, you need to think about how you're going to mount them rod holders. They need to be in such a way, like here with our pedals, I need them forward of the pedals so that I can, for instance, if I tried to put them here on the gear, I wouldn't want to mount them on gear tracks, first off. But even if I did, the rod butts, see how my rods come in? If I had them here, it'd be interfering with the pedals. So I need them forward, but I don't want them so far forward I can't reach them. So you got to just think about that kind of thing. That's thinking about where you're going to put stuff is way more important than just overall stability of the kayak. You can have a super stable kayak, but if you can't mount rod holders to it, or you don't have room for your gear or space, whatever, like you're just out of luck. You know, you got to be able to set the kayak up for how you're going to fish. Another thing to consider with kayaks that's way more important, this fish don't give a crap right now. He says his camera time's more important because here he goes, he's got it. This fish buddy, he said what's most important for him right now is getting on this video. He said he's waited all morning for this, he's been patient. He said a lot of his friends skip his turn. They've come and bit this bait first. He heard we was running out of skipjack. He wanted to make sure that he got a piece of it, which I hope he's gonna return. You gotta treat that skipjack like a library book, fish. You return it when you're done with it. I wanna get it back. He did not. Okay, there it is, it's on the back. Oh, the stinger hook caught look at this, folks. Oh, get it. Get the bait, y'all, it's right there. Oh, I ain't gonna be able to reach it. Dadgummit. The stinger hook, he had knocked the bait off and the stinger hook had caught it and he flopped around and I wasn't gonna be able to, if I tried reaching for it, I was going overboard. You dang fish. Somebody teach this fish how, he can't read. Teach him how the library system works. Fish, you can't read nothing, fish. He says he's dyslexic, it ain't his fault. He's got a disability. Come here, fish. I'm upset with you. That dang stinger fly had caught the bait. And you flopped around and blew our chance to get it back. There we go. You had the stinger in the back though, didn't you? There's just another one, y'all. I tell you, man, it's been a good day for numbers out here. We've got 2 big fish now and several to go with them. It's been a good day. Real good day so far. This is exactly what I had hoped would happen. I had hoped we were going to get some big fish, but I was kind of expecting to get the numbers of fish, and been fortunate to have both take place. I'm gonna drop this other bait back down, and I'm gonna continue my spiel about why stability is not the most important thing in a kayak. But the other big consideration that I feel is more important than just stability is the weight of the kayak. How are you going to manage it? Now, if you're fishing places, like for instance out here where I'm at today, Chickamauga, Tennessee River, we've got a lot of boat ramps. You can trailer your kayaks, back them in, just like a boat out here in a lot of places. That's a big help with a heavy kayak. But if you're in a situation, maybe you're on a smaller river, you got to drag your kayak a long ways. Maybe you were planning on taking your kayak to the beach for some beach trips, and you're going to be pulling through the sand. Take into consideration how much that kayak weighs. Because I'm going to tell you, buddy, some of these kayaks, because the public sentiment, everybody wants, that's the first thing everybody says when they're shopping for kayaks, they want the most stable kayak. These companies have listened and they are making the most stable kayaks possible. But to get that stability requires a much bigger platform. Much bigger platform, much more weight. And it's a chore. It's a chore to deal with, folks. When you've got to manage that weight off the water, especially if you're somebody that's not planning on getting a trailer. Maybe you don't have space for a trailer. Maybe you live in an apartment complex. Maybe you just don't have space for a trailer at your house. Maybe you live in a city and it's like, it's hard to get around with a trailer or something. If you're gonna, here goes our head bait. I think he's got it. He's just slowly going over with it. And he dropped it. But think about the weight, how you're gonna deal with the weight when you go to the dealer, or you meet somebody that's got one, you're trying it out, pick that dang kayak up. But think about, if you're going to be car topping it especially, can you lift it up and get it on your car? Think about those kind of things. Because if the kayak is a pain to get on and off the water, the easier your process is of getting to the water and on and off the water, the more likely you are to use the kayak. If you go out and it's super heavy and it's a pain in the ass to deal with, you're probably not going to use it very often, and when you do, you're not going to have as good of experience. So try to eliminate any barriers you have to being able to get out there on the water. And the weight of the kayak is a big consideration. And these kayaks, I'm telling you, they get heavier and heavier and heavier. We're going to have, mark this down. This is my Nostradamus prediction. Next 2 years, next 3 years the most, we are going to have a kayak that breaks the 200-pound mark. It's coming. I promise you it's coming. We hung over here on this rod. I didn't have that one set right or something. I don't know what's up with that. But it's coming in the very near future. And it don't matter, even the kayaks right now. Hell, my Hobie, it's like 100, I think it's 138, 140 pounds dry, you know, with nothing on it. Now I add on the motor, I add on a lithium battery for the motor. I've got my bait cooler on there. I've got my graph and my graph battery and my live scope transducer and the live scope power box, black box, whatever they call it. I promise you, my setup now is over 200 pounds when you add all that stuff on there, and it is a chore to deal with. Like coming out here today, like I was bringing, when I made the decision to come here and use that crappy launch at the back of this creek, I was coming in this kayak because I knew I could easily manage the weight of this kayak. Especially you take the pedal drive out of this thing, you're under 100 pounds. Which is still heavy, don't get me wrong, but when you're used to dealing with the weight of my other kayak, and then I go to dealing with this one, it feels like a feather. It feels like nothing at all. But those are some things that people don't necessarily think about when they're buying a kayak that they should. People are concerned about stability, and they're concerned about price. And I get being concerned about price, obviously. You know, everybody's on a budget, and you want the best deal. But I think where a lot of people go wrong on the financial side of things is they buy new. They want to get that brand new kayak. And if their budget is limited, oftentimes they will opt for a new kayak from an inferior brand or inferior quality when they could have taken that same money, went into the used market and gotten a way better quality kayak with a ton of accessories already coming with it for the same price. And oftentimes you get into the used market and you find kayaks that are practically new, or somebody's gotten them, they didn't have time to use it, it's set in a garage, or they got it, tried it out, kayak fishing isn't for them. I mean, it's practically new kayak, and you could save several $100s or more, plus get accessories with it. But a lot of people, again, they want that, they want to go buy new. And so I personally, I want the deal myself as this head bait over here gets hit again. He's after it. He may have it and just be sitting there with it. Give me a let it go. Let me just lift up on this line a little bit. Look right here. There's a bird that's crapped on my rod holder. He's been eating blackberries or something. That fish is back. I think he's got it now. It was a nice thump. He's barely took the rod over. Could this be a flathead? If we got a flathead right here, y'all, he thumped it twice. The first time he kind of thumped it there, took it over a little bit and was gone. This time he thumped it, and again, it was just kind of a slow. I wonder if this is a flathead. We'll see here in a minute. I hope it is. I'd love to get a flathead. I knew for sure at our Nickajack tournament that somebody was going to bust a big flathead, and I don't know that any flatheads were caught. Maybe there was a couple small ones caught, and this thing's taken off. Now this is going to be a bigger fish than I thought. But I just knew for sure I thought big fish of the tournament would be a flathead. Somebody would get a 44, 45-inch flathead. And that just didn't happen. But I'm wondering if this right here that we got ain't a flathead. The way he hit it, the way he's acting. Them some big bubbles coming up, by gosh. Them some big bubbles right there. He's bigger than I thought he was initially when I first picked up. We're still kind of between these two islands right here. We're coming up, or between these two creeks. We're coming up kind of on the, right above this next creek right here. No, it's a blue. That's a good one. He bit kind of funny. He bit it like a flatty. The old fish. All right, now, leave that head on. We're gonna try to scrounge up another one with it. This fish don't care what I want. This fish he said he's never cared about me a day in his life. I'll give you front camera time, fish, I promise. I'm probably gonna give him front camera time anyway. If you let me land you right now, we're facing the sun. You can get a good picture with me, fish. They don't care about that either. Yeah, so far, so good. The head bait's still there. I'm sure it's not in very good shape. I don't know how many fish this is on it now, but we'll probably send it back down for lack of a better option. He's beating a sinker on the side of the kayak here, spooking his friends. He's trying to tell them all about me. May need to hold off landing him a second till this pontoon goes by. Oh, they got the ski boat stuff anyway. They don't care about this fish. Okay, fish. Now time to calm it down. Time to calm down. Come on up here. Yep. All right, y'all. Let me stick you up here in the front seat. This fish wants you to take a picture of me and him together here. That's a good one, buddy. If he'd come off, I would have thought he was a flathead. I mean, the way he bit and everything. You saw the way he thumped that rod and just slowly took it over. Like it sure seemed like a flathead bite. But just a just a big blue that was going to bite on his own schedule, I guess. That hook's in there good, buddy. Sorry, fish. I'm taking that bait back. We're going to try to get one more on it. He ain't happy about that. He wanted that bait. Listen, here's another good one. That's another good fish, man. I'm happy with it. He's wanting to flop on me. I can feel it. Calm down, fish. I ain't done with you yet. I'm having a good day, y'all. Boy, I can feel him. Get out of here. Before you, I knew it. I knew he was wanting to flop. I could feel it in him. He didn't want to calm down for nothing. Man, y'all. That's another one there. You know, these summer months like this, during the spawn, so I get choked up. Goodness gracious. Choking to death all of a sudden, y'all. I had slobber go down the windpipe. But these summer months, typically, I'm hoping to get numbers of fish when I go out. I'm hoping to get several fish, but I'm expecting them to be smaller, right? Well, this bait's messed up bad, but we're going to go with it. But when I do hook into that bigger fish on these summer spawning months, I'm usually expecting to maybe get one on a trip. Maybe two if I'm lucky. We're getting some better quality fish through here still. So, I mean, it's in addition to our numbers that we're getting today. And I fully believe when we've got these doubles that we've went through and I've seen a bunch of fish there on the screen, like I fully believe if we had 4 rods down, 6 rods down, all of them would have gotten hit. This one right here. This one right here, buddy. I think he's got it. I know he's got it. It's another one, just hit the bait and just, okay, he let it go then. He let it go then. Bass boat man going by. Boy, here comes another one. Neither one of them bass boats got stickers or logos on the side of their boat. They must not be very good. But yeah, just right now, we've made our way down here. Almost, basically right here is where I have anchored at on some recent trips and done really good, right here in front of this creek. So, but again, we're just staying. I can't emphasize this enough. Stay on these edges. Work those contours. Because when you're drifting or trolling, man, those fish, they use those as they move up and down. They follow those edges, and if you'll stay on them, even if you're having a day where you ain't catching fish, you cover enough water, you eventually run into them every time. I'm gonna clean you off again here. One of them fish got you there, looks like. But yeah, y'all, I'm having a good day. It's getting hot as blazes out here. But I mean, numbers, size, quality, like it's a good day, man. It's a real good day. I'm glad I come down here. There's part of me, every time I leave the house to make this drive, I'm like, this is gonna be the day where I don't do any good. You know, because the spawn and all. But this place ain't disappointed me yet. Civil War man over there banging every time I'm out here is disappointing. Be nice to come out just one time and get some peace and quiet. I don't even remember what I was talking about, kayaks and stuff. Y'all sick of hearing about kayaks at this point. This fish ain't sick of it though. He said he's waited all morning for his turn. He's down there chewing up that bait. But I guess to put a bow on the story, with talking about kayaks. When you're considering getting a kayak and thinking about what one you want and what model and all that, we'll slide us out just a little bit here. This fish is about to, between the wind or whatever, the boat wake, about to work up on this ledge a little too much. This fish may have it. Oh, he ain't either. I thought he'd hit it, maybe come up in the water column. Send it back down. But here's the big thing that I would encourage you to really think about before you commit to a kayak, is think about what you want out of it. Are you wanting to pull planer boards? If you do, you need a bigger kayak that you can put a motor on, okay? Because you got to keep moving forward when you pull planer boards. So that's a big factor. Another big thing is, are you going to fish tournaments? Because if you're going to fish tournaments, you're probably going to be on some bigger water, some rougher weather conditions, because tournament day, it's just whatever Mother Nature throws at you that day, you got to make the most of it, right? So if you're going to do that, you may want a bigger kayak with a little bit more stability, more weight capacity, so you can carry all your gear and maybe handle the rougher weather days a little bit more easily. But most people out there, and this is just the perception I've gotten from talking to people and meeting people and whatnot, most people don't give a damn about the tournaments. Most people have no interest in fishing a tournament. And I don't blame you. Honestly, I don't really have that much. I was thinking about that. I'll go into that story next. But most people don't give a damn about the tournaments. And most people don't give a damn about pulling planer boards. So if you don't, then I would encourage you to figure out what you're going to carry with you on the kayak, how you like to fish, and get the kayak that can accommodate your rod holders, can accommodate the gear you want to carry, and is going to be comfortable for you to set in all day. That's another big factor, is are you going to be comfortable in this kayak? But then, once you've got all of that, if you don't care about the tournaments and pulling planer boards and all, then get a kayak that's going to allow you to have the most fun. Get the smallest kayak you can. Don't opt for stability, opt for the most fun. Because then when you hook into a big fish in a kayak like this, you're going to get towed around. You're going to get, a big fish takes off spinning, swimming to the right. You're going to get spun around. That's fun, man. And the bigger the kayak you get, the less you're going to have of that. Just like, fishing out of a boat. It takes a big fish to spin a boat around. It takes a not as big a fish, but a bigger fish to spin a large kayak around. But you get in a kayak like this, hell, some of these 5-pound blues, they hit the bait hard enough and swim hard enough, they're going to spin us around. And I enjoy that personally. That's what got me to fall in love with kayak fishing to begin with, just those kayak sleigh rides. And I just enjoy it. This fish ain't enjoying his time right now, though, because he's got a hook in the jaws. We're going to get us another one. The numbers continue today. But think about that. I mean, if tournaments and planer boards ain't important to you, then you don't necessarily need the biggest kayak on the market. And so you can save money, you can save your back by getting a lighter weight, smaller kayak, as long as it's comfortable for you to set in all day. And you can mount rod holders to it and carry your gear. I mean, that's all you need. You'll adapt to the stability of the kayak. This fish ain't going to adapt to the hook in his jaw, though. He says, I'm going to have to take it out. And I will fish. I don't want to give you that hook. I just tied up some new rigs the other day. I ain't looking to give them out here to these fish. No, doggone it, fish. I think you got that stinger in your, oh, he threw the bait off. Last second right there, he done it. Last second, he got that dang stinger in the fin, and I didn't have it out of him before he flopped. He thought he was ready to go because he got the hook out the mouth. And little did he know, he still had a hook in the fin. And he threw the bait off. There you go, fish. Arrivederci. I guess these bass boaters over here are just gonna get right on top of us, watch the show or something. 100 miles of river right here. They're gonna find the one kayak out here fishing. Let's see, what's our best looking piece of bait? We're getting down here now. We're getting closer and closer to the tails of these skipjack we got left. Not my favorite cut of bait, but it will catch a fish. We will use it today. Desperate times, desperate measures. But I'll tell you something. For as many fish as we've caught today, we have made damn good use of the 3 skip. Here goes this bait. Here it goes. Let's get this and drop back down before we pick up on that. I think he's got it over there. But we've made really good use of these 3 skipjack, man. I've had to reuse a few baits that normally I wouldn't have done, but it's worked out. We've got our numbers and our size today so far, and these bass fishermen get close enough, hell, we might catch one of them. Let's stick this back here in the cooler and we'll get rid of that stick right there beside us too. I think this one on the head bait's got it over here. Here we go, he's on it. Damned old bass fishermen. I guess they're gonna work this ledge too. Maybe they'll catch a bass and give it to us. We'll have a bait. You think they would? I bet they wouldn't give us no bass. They're proud of them things. This one here is all wrapped up in this line. He's got the cut bait hook in the mouth. He's gonna act out in a second. We brought him in lassoed. I can't believe he ain't took off yet. Maybe he's done. I would have thought we got him unlassoed. Normally they go crazy. But he's been fairly calm. Okay, fish. This is well, that was interesting. I guess he wore himself out while we were getting the other bait lower down or something. That's what he's telling us here. Got that. We're going to use that bait again, y'all. Get out of here, fish. That's all the camera time you're getting. You should have showed out on camera when you had a chance. Let's fix this back. This is rough, really rough shape here on this bait, man. This is... Like I said, I'd like to have about 6 more skipjack heads today, but just wasn't in the cards for us yesterday. I'm gonna hook it this way. It ain't got no upper lip left for me to run it through. This part's all wore out. Let's just go through the meat right there. We'll do that. I don't like hooking heads that way because they tend to get ripped off. About to get rolled up on this ledge a little bit too. I don't like doing it this way, but if it'll get us 1 more fish, we'll do it. We'll try to get 1 more on it, and we'll think about if we want to put that other head bait on, or just go to 2 chunks, or bust out the chicken, or what. Well, I don't know what we'll do. We got that bluegill in there too. So. Yeah, them guys up there, I guess they bass fishing on that ledge. I'll bet you my dollar to your nickel, they don't catch a damn thing. Any of you want to take that bet? You put up a nickel, I'll put up a dollar. That's the kind of odds I'll give you. They don't catch a damn thing. I don't know what kind of baits they're using. They're right there. They're throwing off the area that we just drifted down. I hate to tell them fellas, but if there was any bass there, they're on the menu for all them catfish that we've caught coming down through there. Especially them bigger ones we got. They're little 1 to 3 pound bass. They've been gobbled up. Sorry about your luck, bass fishermen. I'll tell you what, folks, I'm so confident they're not going to catch shit. I'll put up a dollar to your penny that they ain't going to catch nothing. One of you is take my bet. I'm going to make me a few pennies out here today. We'll keep our eye on them guys as we drift along here. How long? Here's another thing we should get going. We should get a bet going over under how long they're going to sit there before they move on. I bet they're out of here within 10 minutes. They've probably marked some fish on their graph, having no idea that it's catfish that they're seeing. He's up there telling his buddy right now, oh, look at all these fish here on the graph. It's a bunch of bass down there. There's a 10-pound bass sitting right there on that rock. It's a blue cat. He has no idea. What would be even better if they actually did hook a bass and a catfish come up and annihilated the thing on the way up. I'm gonna make me a few. Oh, there goes a professional right there. He had some stickers on the side of his boat. He might actually be able to catch one. These guys up here ain't got no stickers. That's how I know they ain't no good. I'm gonna make me a few pennies today. Somebody's gonna take that bet. Somebody, just the fact that they like an underdog bet. Some people just want to bet against me, you know. I'm gonna make a few pennies. I expect you to pay up too, by gosh, whenever you lose. Speaking of losing, so I lost in the tournament. That's another story I was going to segue into. I finished 4th place, didn't cash. And, you know, I'm sitting out there all day in wet underwear, where I'd went for a swim that morning. Everything, by the afternoon, everything had dried out except my underwear. Which then got me wondering, like, why do we even wear underwear? Like, I mean, I'm just sitting out there thinking, like, if I don't have underwear on that day, then I'm not sitting out there in wet underwear all day. That seems like an easy problem to solve. Just go commando. I mean, I've dated some girls in the past that didn't even own any underwear. They were commando all the time. It's more of a girl thing, but you know, I was kind of thinking out there that day, like, why am I wearing underwear? Well, so I mean, it's just something we've always done. It's a habit at this point. Underwear, actually, at this point in my life, lets me know when I need to do laundry. Because that's the only time I do laundry is when I'm out of underwear, out of clean underwear. Otherwise, I mean, shirts, pants, socks. I mean, I'll wear stuff over and over and over again. But when I run out of underwear, that's when I do laundry. And all my laundry goes in one load too, by the way. I don't separate nothing. But aside from the whole underwear topic, I'm out there on tournament day, just having a miserable day from falling, I must have busted my shoulder in the fall. I thought it happened so quick. I guess I come down on my right shoulder because my right shoulder, it was sore. It's been sore ever since. So I guess I must have hit it just right. But aside from the fact that I fell down, aside from the fact that I went swimming, turned my live bait bucket over, lost my crappie, it just wasn't a good day out there. Like, you know, when the current kicked up, you had all that grass coming downriver. Then the storms moved out, and it was a beautiful day on the weekend, so here come all the pleasure boaters. And y'all know me, I don't like fishing weekends. I don't, outside of a tournament, I don't fish the weekend unless I go carp fishing and I'm way back up in a creek and I'm hiding from people. Otherwise, I don't, outside of a tournament, I don't fish on the weekends because it's just not very much fun. And so I'm out there on tournament day having a miserable experience, and I'm sitting there thinking about it, and I had a conversation with Daniel after the tournament was over there. And I was like, why the hell am I doing this? Why the hell am I even fishing these tournaments? Like, is it my ego? Is it me wanting to prove that I'm good at this? Is it my ego and that I want to go fish 2 rods when these other guys are fishing 8 and 10 rods and just stick it to them and beat them? Like, why am I doing this? Because when it comes to, obviously I enjoy fishing. I enjoy catching fish, but I don't need a tournament to do that. I enjoy talking trash with the other guys that are fishing the tournaments and stuff, but I don't need a tournament to do that. I can go fishing with them, and at some point today, I'm gonna message Ryan and just talk about how many more fish I've caught than he has today. And we ain't even in the same state. So, I can do my trash talking outside of a tournament. I don't need a tournament for that. So when you get right down to it, what is it about the tournament? Why am I even doing this? Sure, winning money in the tournament's fun. That's great. But I'm like, why? Why am I doing it? Because if I wasn't fishing tournaments, I wouldn't be out there on the weekends. I wouldn't be out there. And two, here's the other thing about tournaments. You got to play the hand you're dealt on tournament day. Whatever weather conditions are going on, whatever water conditions are going on, whatever technique maybe it's a technique I don't want to do, but I got to go do it anyway. You got to grind and you got to hustle. You got to get out there and you got to catch fish during that time period, whatever it takes, whatever you got to deal with. That's not always fun. If you got a day like our last tournament where it's storming for part of the day and you're getting drenched and you got all the grass on the water and the pleasure boaters out there, like, it's not necessarily fun. So I'm like, why am I doing this crap? So, yeah, I'm kind of I don't know if I'm burnt out on the tournaments. Have I always thought this and just kind of overlooked it because I was cashing checks? And I don't know, but I'm just not enjoying fishing the tournaments right now. And part of that's probably because of the schedule. Part of it's probably because of the weather. We fished Chickamauga during a great time to fish down here, but it rained half the day and I was cold and wet all day. And that took away from it. And it's on the weekend. There's 5 million bass boats out. That took away from it. Went to Kentucky to fish there on the Ohio River. I knew that tournament was going to suck before we got up there because I knew nobody was going to catch anything. And so that wasn't very much fun. The Nickajack tournament had potential to be fun, but just weather and water conditions and all took away from it. So I'm like, do I even want to do this anymore? And I'm going to this year. It would break Ryan's little heart if he doesn't beat me for Angler of the Year. He wants to beat me fair and square, not just me give it to him. And I need at least one more tournament for the points there. The Angler of the Year, I've mentioned this before, but scores are, I think there's 8 tournaments on the trail, 8 or 9 total. And Angler of the Year is scored by our 5 best finishes. And so we've had 4 tournaments. I fished all 4, but I need one more to at least have a chance at competing at the end of the year for the Angler of the Year. Right now I'm in the lead for it. I've got a 1st place, 2 second places, and a 4th place. And the tournament I won, I also got big fish in, so that gives us 2 extra bonus points for that. Ryan is 3 or 4 points behind me, I can't remember. He's got 2 first place finishes and 2 first, a third, and the Ohio River tournament there in Kentucky. I can't remember where he finished. He had a bad day that day. But it's important to him that he beat me with me showing up and all. So I'll at least fish one more for sure. I don't know. Our next one's Sandusky Bay. I really don't want to go. It's just channel cats. After I fished it last year, I was like, I ain't doing this crap again. And it ain't that I wouldn't necessarily mind fishing Sandusky Bay. I wouldn't mind going up there for like a day. But I don't really necessarily want to go up there and have to commit to a couple days pre-fishing and then fish the tournament. And what I'd like to do is do like an Ohio trip where load up on bait here, go up and fish Hoover for a couple days, do some catfishing on Hoover there in Columbus, Ohio, do an ultralight trip there, maybe try some carp there. Then, because Hoover's about like 5 hours or so away from me, we're going to get on the move here when I talk. These bass fishermen, by the way, they ain't catching nothing up here. We're just kind of sitting in this spot right now. We're going to move. We're going to get on the move here and keep working downriver. But it's about 5 hours away, 5-6 hours away there in Columbus. From there, Sandusky Bay is like another 2.5 hours. So I could go up fish Hoover for a couple days, 3 days maybe, then drive up to Sandusky, fish for a day maybe. Maybe get up there, leave out on, maybe spend the night there in Columbus, drive up Sandusky, fish an afternoon and then a morning session, and then drive home. Instead of driving up to Sandusky for our tournament, then driving back home, and then a couple weeks later going back up to Ohio and fishing Hoover, and then driving back home. Do it all in one swing. Now, it would knock me out of fishing one or both of the tournaments, depending on when I went. But that's something I've considered. Because I definitely want to fish Hoover. I don't care about the tournament per se. But I enjoyed Hoover last year when we went. I caught several good blues. The crappie fishing was amazing. It's a horsepower restricted lake, so they're 10 horsepower max out there, so you don't get the bass boats 100 miles an hour zooming. You don't get the houseboats and wakeboarders and all that. So it's a comfortable place to fish. And Columbus there, that was last year was the first time I had ever been to Columbus, Ohio. It's a pretty nice place up there. I had a nice, I can't remember the name of the hotel I stayed at. It was a nice hotel over by the Cabela's. And it was cheap for, I think it was like 80, I mean, I say cheap, but it was like 80 something a night, I think it was. But I mean, for the quality of the hotel, like I was surprised to get that good a quality hotel for that price. So I enjoyed the trip last year, but I don't know that I want to go to Ohio twice. And I don't know that I want to spend multiple days in Sandusky Bay. The Sandusky Bay tournament, here's the other thing on top of that, is I feel like the Sandusky Bay tournament is kind of a crapshoot. Everybody's going to catch fish. It's not like a normal tournament where you're going to have some people catch fish and you're going to have people that don't catch anything or only maybe get one fish. Like, everybody's going to have a limit on Sandusky Bay within the first couple hours of the tournament. Like, everybody is. Everybody's going to catch a bunch of fish up there. it's going to come down to who catches 34-inch fish versus who catches 33-inch fish. That's going to determine first to second. Like, you're going to have the top 10 up there last year was separated by just 2 or 3, 4 inches, something like that. Like, and it's a 5 fish limit. Unlike our regular tournaments that score our 3 longest fish, Sandusky's going to score our 5 longest fish, and the scores will still be within just a few inches of each other because of just the volume of fish up there. And so, as this rod over here is getting worked, and it's all channel cats, and so again, I wouldn't. It's one of those places. It's an experience to go there. You're going to catch the biggest channel cats I've ever caught in my life up there. But I don't want to spend a great deal of time at it. So, now some of the other tournament places on the schedule this year, we got Wheeler in September. I'd like to fish Wheeler. Obviously, that's one of the Alabama reservoirs here of the Tennessee River. Good fishing down there. I'd like to fish it. I don't really necessarily care about doing it on a Saturday in September. We'll have to look at the football schedule. Of course, I guess down there, yeah, it won't matter down there. Here in Tennessee, football Saturdays, the Vol Navy, all these people with more money than brains, they got these big houseboats. They drive them upriver because our stadium's on the river. So you don't want to fish on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. They start going up on Friday, party all night. After the game, some of them come back Saturday. The rest of them come back on Sunday, going back downriver. But that won't be a problem down there in Alabama. Either way, I'm sure the boat traffic will be awful down there on Saturday. After that, we've got Louisiana, which I do want to go to because I just want to fish down there. And we've got Santee Cooper, which I'd also like to go to because I'd like to fish over there. But otherwise, man, the tournaments, I'm next year for sure, I'm not going to commit to fishing the entire trail. I'll probably cherry pick a few tournaments, the places that are kind of destination spots, if you will, and places that are convenient, I'll do, but I don't necessarily want to commit to the whole trail because it's just a lot of time and a lot of expense. And depending on the weather and the dates, like, our Nickajack tournament, terrible timing to have it because it was right after the full moon, and I was like, any fish that wasn't on the nest, they went after that full moon. And our scores reflected it. Like the overall scores weren't very good. Ryan, I think, won it with, I think he had 117, 118 inches. Like, he had some good fish. He had 3 good fish. And I had a 40-incher. The guy, second place, he had big fish. I think it was 41.5 inches. So there was, I think, 3 or 4 fish over 40 inches caught. But the overall numbers of fish, like, we've caught more fish here today than what everybody combined had in the damn tournament. It was poor timing for it. So that's something I'll take into account next year too, is the timing of the tournaments, and try to go to the places that are worthwhile to go to during that particular time period. I'm having trouble seeing where we're at on the screen there with the glare. It's been a while since we got a bite, y'all. Our bait's garbage down there. Should we switch out our baits? Do you want to put some chicken on? That head bait there's not much left of it. Our chunks were down to the tails. Do you want to put some chicken on and try it? Greg Lee, by God, he wanted me to use some chicken. Y'all ain't trying very hard to talk me into it, and I don't blame you. I'm only gonna fish, it's getting hotter than damn it out here. I'm probably only gonna fish another hour or so anyway. Let's do it. I can't believe you've talked me into this. Because, I mean, this is our bait that's left. We're down to the tails and that one bluegill in there. Let's bust out some chicken. Let's do it. Oh, now our head's getting hit. You better get it quick, fish, because I'm about to switch it out. If you want it, you can have it. Let's put us on some chicken. Plain chicken breast. Just gonna cut some slices off of it here. Cut some chunks of it and see what we can do with it. I think we'll catch fish with it, I'm sure. I don't know if we're going to get any big mamas. I don't know if we're going to get any golly whoppers with it, but I think we will catch some fish with it. All right, fish, last chance to grab that head down there. You better get it. Missed your chance. Yeah, I'm gonna fish about another hour here. We'll go the chicken route. See if we can bust a few more fish, and then I'm gonna head for the AC. Boy, thing's rough, ain't it? Desperate times, desperate measures, though, folks. You just gotta take what the river gives you. Apparently today it's giving us chicken, because it didn't want to cough up no skipjack yesterday. 3 damn skipjack. Here comes our bass fishermen. They've give up on it. Any of y'all that bet me, you owe me a few pennies, because I know some of you took that bet, and we'll need to check the time. We need to see how long they fished for, because I was going to take the under 10 minutes. I got a feeling them guys was not there a full 10 minutes. You know, when you figure up the time that some of these guys fish a spot, because you see them, they run 70 miles an hour, they blow in, they make 5 casts, and then they gone. And especially them guys, like they're up there on that ledge, they're throwing baits off. They can't cast very far. None of them can. They're throwing baits off in 40-something feet deep. By the time their baits sink to the bottom, like the lines come back to them, they're barely working any area at all with those baits. Like they're barely covering any water, and then they only fish it for 5 or 10 minutes, and they wonder why the hell they don't catch anything. Yeah, and I can't talk because I'm not much of a bass fisherman. I'm not even good at it, but it just seems to me like their methods are flawed. They watch them guys on TV, the tournament bass fishermen that are forced to fish with artificial lures, and they're forced to cast because they're not allowed to troll or use live bait. And so because they watch them doing it on TV, they're like, oh, well, that's what we need to do. Everybody does this. And it's just follow the leader. Nobody thinks for themselves, and it's like, because I mean, if these fellas that are out here just recreationally fishing, what do they care if they catch a bait on an artificial lure or a live bait? What do they care if they're trolling versus casting a bait? What does it matter? They're not in a tournament. You're still reeling in the fish on rod and reel. So I don't understand them. I don't get it. I don't understand why all of these recreational fishermen are all using artificial lures and casting to them all the time. They all do the same thing the tournament guys do, even though they ain't in the tournaments. And the tournament guys only do what they do because of the rules in place that force them to do it. Buck Perry I'm a Buck Perry guy. He was a bass fisherman. I've applied his structure fishing teachings to catfishing. But his spoon plugging technique was so good and so effective. He's the reason why when BASS started their professional bass tour, Buck Perry's the reason why trolling's not allowed in their tournaments. Because Buck Perry, and this was I can't remember where I saw this. It was an interview that he did or Ray Scott did. I've either heard it or read it, because I've read and watched just about everything I can of Buck Perry. Any interview he ever did, anything he ever wrote, like I've researched it and I've probably read it. There's very few things out there I would imagine that I haven't seen at this point, because I mean I went down the Buck Perry rabbit hole. But Buck Perry told when they was getting ready to start them bass tournaments, like if you allow trolling, my guys are going to win every tournament. And so they banned trolling from the start. But outside of a tournament situation, you never see a bass fisherman trolling. A recreational guy, I mean, you can't in a tournament, but the recreational fishermen. And most of these people are recreational fishing. Nobody ever trolls. They only do what they see the tournament guys on TV doing. And those guys have good success, obviously. They're professionals. They know how to get them fish to bite the artificial lures. But is that the best way to go out? And if you're recreational fishing and you're just wanting to go out and catch either a lot of bass today or a big bass today, is an artificial lure the best way to do it? Or if you are using artificial lure, is casting it the best way to go about it? Doubt it. On any given day, seriously, I doubt it. But that's what they all do. So, I don't understand it. I guess we're fortunate from a tournament perspective as far as the catfishing goes. We're fortunate we don't have those restrictions on us, like bait. If it's legal in the state we're at, we can use it. Multiple lines, we can use it. Drifting, trolling, we can do it. Really, there ain't really any restrictions in the catfishing tournament. Some boat tournaments will have, like, they'll cap the number of rods you can use. Some tournaments will cap the number of hooks on your line you can use, which is fine. But the bass fishing tournament's way more restrictive. Those guys are still doing it, though. I'd watched an interview a while back with somebody. Can't remember his name. He worked at Bass Pro Shop, though. He was like one of their big... I forget. Hell, I done forgot. You can see how much I paid attention to this thing that I watched, but I forgot his name. I forgot his role, but he was higher up there in Bass Pro. And he was talking about how live scope has affected the lure sales. Like people aren't buying crankbaits anymore because everybody's out there with live scope and they're throwing swim baits and stuff to these fish they can see on their screen. So people aren't just casting crankbaits at random anymore. So it's changing the economics of the bass fishing. Catfishing, it's kind of always been a situation where the people who make terminal tackle are going to do okay. If they're selling lead, they're selling hooks, swivels, leader line, stuff like that. Like, we go through a lot of terminal tackle, loosing rigs and stuff like that. But as far as artificial lures, like bass fishing and crappie fishing kind of dominate lure sales, because a bass will eat. Bass must be the dumbest creatures on the face of the planet. Like, they'll literally eat anything. I mean, sometimes you walk through a sporting goods store and you look at the lures. You're like, why the hell is a bass going to eat that? But by gosh, they will. And they'll eat it in 47 different colors, apparently, because it'll be the same lure in virtually the same size. They'll have a 1/8 and a 1/4 ounce and a 1/2 ounce. I mean, virtually no size differences. And 48 different colors. And a bass fisherman will have one of each. And then heaven forbid they actually catch a fish on a particular color or size, then they'll go back and they'll buy 12 more of that lure in that same color and size because they caught one fish on it. So bass must be the dumbest creatures on the face of the earth to be able to be caught on so many different things. I think if a person was into bass fishing, like just hardcore into it, and this is, again, take this with a grain of salt, like what the hell do I know? Okay, I get it. Justin, you're not a bass fisherman, stay in your lane. I get it. But this is just my thoughts on this, okay? If you wanted to go out and bass fish and catch trophy class bass, like if that was your goal, I think there's two ways to go about it. One would be follow the Buck Perry teachings to the T. His whole spoon plugging technique, from how he starts, how he locates fish, how you set up, get you some spoon plugs. I'm sure you can get on eBay and probably find you some old ones. Follow Buck's teachings to the T. They work. I've applied everything I know about structure fishing. I've learned from the Buck Perry books. I've applied it to catfish. What we're doing out here today, working these break lines. That's Buck Perry 101, okay? It works. And a fish is a fish is a fish. We're catching catfish today. It's what we're fishing for. You adapt what you're doing, your gear, all that. You catch different fish, but same concept. So that would be my first piece of advice. Second piece of advice, if you wanted to catch big bass, use live baits. I would get shiners. I think you could do real good just fishing shiners. I would get small bluegill. And I'm not talking about the bluegill I use when I do use them for catfish. I would get smaller bluegill. We're finally getting some chicken hit over here. This fish wanted him a chicken nugget. He's got him a chicken strip over here, folks. Let's reel this one in on the chicken. If Greg Lee's watching, he's gonna be proud. It ain't side by side with the skipjack like he wanted, but we're in the same general area where we've caught caught fish with skipjack today, if I get my words out. Did he even eat the chicken? Yeah, he did. Okay, I thought he had that fly for a minute. I thought this fish don't even want the dang chicken. I think he's the smallest one of the day, too. Smallest one of the day on the chicken there, Blue Kitty. You're a tiny thing. Let's put us another piece of chicken on. We'll just go chicken right here. Again, I'm gonna fish another hour, maybe. I've lost my confidence a little bit since we're out of premium skipjack. But if you're out there bass fishing, I mean, if you had you some shiners, especially if you could get you some bigger shiners, if you could get some bluegill, let's say 4 or 5 inch bluegill, not them big 7, 8 inchers, you know, that cat fishermen are using oftentimes, but I mean, just get you some 4 or 5 inch bluegill. I think that would be good. You could also probably use some gizzard shad. I think if you use gizzard shad, you're probably gonna catch more catfish, which is going to be a problem if you're trophy bass fishing with live bait. You're probably going to be interrupted with some catfish. But I think you could do real good with live baits. It's one of them things. It's just taboo. You just don't see people doing it. It's frowned upon. These people that use live bait for bass, they're looked down upon in the community. People think less of them because they're not fitting in. They're not using the latest $12 chatterbait that looks like all the other chatterbaits or whatever. I don't understand it. You get down there in Florida, where people are happy to catch bass in Florida, but they're not. There's a lot of options in Florida. It seems like people ain't as interested as much in just like around here. There are people. I mean, I've got friends up here in Tennessee. All they fish for is bass. That's it. Like, they don't care about anything else. All they want to catch is bass. You don't have that kind of loyalty as much down in Florida because there's so many options there. And so because of that, when people do bass fish in places like Florida, you see more of them using live baits. Like if you you'd turn into a fishing show sometimes, either Bill Dance or Roland Martin or somebody, one of them Saturday morning TV fishing shows back in the day. You'd see them on Lake Okeechobee or something. What would they be using? Shiners. They don't use them anywhere else though. Which makes no damn sense. If you're catching these big bass on shiners down there in Lake Okeechobee, guess what? Guess what they're going to eat in other places too? A live shiner or a live bluegill or live shad. I mean, the artificial baits they throw, these crankbaits, spinnerbaits, chatterbaits, what are they representing? They're representing a live fish. So why not just throw the live fish to begin with? But again, what do I know? Stay in your lane, Justin. You ain't no bass fisherman. But I just think if a person around here wanted to truly focus on catching big bass and didn't give a damn about fitting in with the community, didn't give a damn about the tournaments, you either go full-on Buck Perry spoon plugging or you go live bait almost exclusively. I think the live bait would probably be more fun because you are going to catch some, I mean, let's face it, you drop a 4-inch to 6-inch gizzard shad down live, who knows what you're going to catch, man. You might hook a big bass, you might hook a striper, you might hook a blue cat, a flathead. You might have a damn 4-pound crappie come up and nail that thing. Who knows? Anything, everything. I mean, you're talking bottom of the food chain. Anything's possible on it. Now, you are going to have to, and some of you's out there right now saying, well, Justin, I use live bait a fair amount, but I never catch any bass with it. Why is that? Well, part of it's my rigging. I'm using really heavy leaders. I'm using really large hooks. I'm using 80-pound leaders, and I'm using 10-aught size hooks. So ideally, if I was fishing for bass, I would downsize. I would use a fluoro leader probably, downsize it, and I would use a smaller hook so that bait would be a little bit more lively down there and be able to swim a little more. So that would be a couple changes, and I think if you did that, I think you'd catch more bass doing that. But downside of doing that is when you do hook that big catfish, which you inevitably will, well, now you're fighting it on a smaller hook and a much smaller leader. Which you can do, but you just got to take your time. And you're going to have some fish break you off and stuff. Just catfish. I mean, hell, I lost one out here, a monster out here in this other creek. That last time I'd fished with Ryan down here, because I'd been using leaders too damn long and caught several fish, and I guess just the abrasion from that catfish's mouth, because it's like their upper lip there, that bony plate, it's like sandpaper. I guess it just the thrashing around there and friction on the line just broke me off. So that's going to happen more frequently if you're targeting bass and you're using the lighter lines, but I think it would help your cause. We got another kayak coming this way. I can't tell what he's doing. I don't know if he's catfishing. He come around this way. He's coming up, it looks like. I don't know what he's doing out there. If he's ledge fishing for bass, one thing we know for sure, if we take the over-under on him fishing that spot 10 minutes, I'm going to take the over on him because he can't fire up an outboard and go on 70 miles an hour to the next spot. We're still where we need to be. Right here, we're just off the fish right now. I don't know if it's time of day. Maybe we're getting later in the morning here, the morning bite's tailing off, or if it's just a situation we've gotten off the fish, like there's just not as many down here. Maybe they're hanging out more in front of these creeks on this ledge. Or is it a situation where our bait just sucks? I don't know. Either way, we seem to be kind of off the fish right now. I know we're using what I feel is an inferior bait, but this bait did kick my hind end on tournament day. A fella there, that bass fisherman up there at the dam, throwing chicken out there. He got second place in big fish using chicken. Now, I think he caught more fish than anybody total too. So we're rolling with it. It may not be my favorite bait. I may not have a ton of confidence in it, but we out here with it. We down here. At least for another 30 minutes or so. I guess that bass fisherman, I guess that's what he is doing, that guy in the kayak's bass fishing. I'm almost wondering if we shouldn't turn around, go back the other way. Because the further we've got down through here, the less fish we're catching. We turn around and go the other way. If we did that, plus I'd be working my way back toward the car. It'd be one thing, normally if I come out and I'm working a ledge, I just keep going. I just keep going, hoping to run into fish. But we've already ran into fish today. We know there's some fish between here and where we were at least there was. Plus, we would be working back toward the car, which I'm going to be heading toward here in the near future. What do you think? If we keep going down this way, we're eventually going to get down here to this guy in the kayak, which means we're going to have to be social and talk. I don't know if I can be social today. I mean, I can sit out here and talk to you all on camera, sure. But like human to human socialization, that is asking a lot of me today. I don't know what he's doing out there. I kind of want to just know what he's doing. Is he bass fishing for sure? He keeps moving around all over. He may just be looking at his electronics or something. No, he's got a rod in his hand. I seen it in the light. I don't know what the hell he's doing. Y'all probably can't even see him on this camera. He's down there a couple 100 yards in front of us. He's on this ledge too. If we keep going this way, we're going to have to be social. So not only are we going to have to be social, we're going to have to be social with the bass fishermen, apparently. I ain't got it in me, folks. I can't do it. I can't. Let's turn around. Let's turn around. We're going to work back up this ledge. I'll tell you what let's do too. Instead of just turning around and slowly making our way back, let's do this. Let's reel up these lines first off. Here's what I want to do. Let's make a run up here. Let's make a run to the back to this creek mouth where we got that last big one. We'll drop baits back down there and then slowly start trolling our way back up toward that other one, toward the car. Let's do that. Does that sound like a plan to y'all? Or y'all just want to go to the house? I'd be fine with that too. We'll at least come up here and drop baits back down a little while. And this goes back to having confidence in the bait that you're using. Well, either way, even if we had skipjack on, if we wasn't getting bit down through here, I would still be inclined to do this. Because we know we've been getting fish up here and we've had some big ones. And just historically, the last few weeks when I've come down here, we've caught a lot of big fish in front of these creeks. So they're clearly still here and moving in and out. So if we had drifted down this far with skipjack and had good baits, if we wasn't getting bit, we'd probably still be making the same decision. But the fact that we don't have a bait that I'm particularly confident in, it does make it a little harder to keep doing what you're doing when you're not getting bit. When we've already had the success that we've had, but it could be a time of day thing too. Typically, these summer months, there's a window of time in the morning, sunrise till 9:30, 10 o'clock, where there's a feeding window, you get a good bite. The later you get in the day, and I assume, I don't know what time it is now, we're probably, however how long we've been at this now, over 3 hours now. So the sun's high in the sky. The bite's probably going to taper off anyway. It usually does. If we just kept going down, it'd just be that much longer of a pedal to get back. Which I don't mind doing this. I don't mind pedaling. It does limit your range. If I'm going to be making a long run somewhere, having the motor's a big help. A day like today, the back of that creek that I launched in, it's not very far to get out here to the channel. And because of the way I'd done things this morning, I come out, I went upstream to that next slough, and we started our drift. And we really didn't cover a lot distance-wise out here today. Because, I mean, we hovered around these creek mouths, and there initially when we got bit, we went back up, come through again. So we ain't covered a ton of water, but because of the way I launched, went upstream, drifted down past the place that we launched, and now we're coming back. Like, it's really, you know, as far as a pedal goes, it's not really a lot of manual labor. I'm not getting much exercise today, I guess what I try to explain. Not burning off a lot of calories today. I should have worn my flip-flops today. I went out this morning. I got up early today. I got up like 4:30 this morning to let Daphne out and everything before I make my drive down here. And I went out to pee outside because, you know, my neighborhood's built up so much now. And my neighbors cleared some of their fence off over there, so now I can't pee outside anymore whenever I want to. I pretty much, if I'm gonna pee outside, it's gotta be after dark, or the neighbor's gonna be out there staring at me in all my glory. So one of the few pleasures I have around my house anymore is being able to take a leak outside. And so I went out this morning, let Daphne out to pee, and I peed while I was out there. And I'm out there in flip-flops, of course, and I'm like, well, it's a little, you know, it's still dark and kind of damp. I'm like, yeah, it's a little chilly out there, I guess, because I just got out of bed, whatever. I thought, I'm gonna wear my boots today. I knew it was gonna be hotter than blazes by the time we left today, but I thought my feet might be cold first thing. I should have wore the flip-flops. Yeah, I used to, folks. I could go outside and pee off my patio anytime I wanted to. I had a nice area there that I could keep. It was basically, urine is basically another form of weed killer, because if you pee in an area, you'll kill the grass if you just keep hitting it over and over again. So I could kind of pee on the edge of my patio and keep the grass wore down right there. But since the neighbors cleared part of the fence, and they've got some small children, if it was just adults, I wouldn't really care. But the fact that it's small kids, I don't want the cops showing up, you know, like some, you know, I ain't trying to be no pervert or nothing. So now I have to wait till after dark and it's sad, and a man can't pee off his back porch whenever he wants to. Got to use indoor plumbing. Just ain't right. That's my neighborhood now. Here's the thing too. I told this story. It was a few months. I can't remember what video. Hell, it's been a while ago. But my dumbass neighbors. And I don't know how they found the person that they found to do this. I don't know if it was friend, family. Maybe they found the person online and just got ripped off. But it was so stupid. So, and my channel members, y'all have seen. Maybe I told it in a channel members video. But I do these channel member videos at my house sometimes, where I kind of give my channel members a little behind the scenes, what's going on, real life stuff. And I'm pretty sure I showed them, but my neighbors, we've got fence between me and my neighbors, and it's all grown up. Brush, kudzu, trees, all that. And every year I fight the kudzu. It's always a battle. But this past winter, my neighbors, I guess, decided they were going to clear their section of that fence off. And they hired a guy with a bobcat. And he comes out there. And I know right away this guy ain't very good at his job. Like, and I'm somebody, kind of like me commenting on bass fishermen, like I'm not a bass fisherman. I'm not any good at bass fishing. Should I really be commenting on bass fishing related topics? Well, probably not, because I don't have the expertise to do so. But I don't have to be good at bass fishing to be able to look at another bass fisherman and be able to see that they don't know what the hell they're doing, right? I mean, like all of you watching out here this video, especially if you stuck with me this long, you know enough about fishing to be able to look at somebody who don't know what the hell they're doing with fishing and be able to understand, like, that person's not any good, right? So same thing with the bobcat situation. This guy, he's out there operating a bobcat. I've never driven a bobcat in my life, but I've had some bobcat work done around my house when I graded off my yard and all that. So I've seen a lot of bobcats in operation, if you will. Although I've never personally done that kind of work myself. So anyway, my neighbors, these people, they hired this guy, and he showed up, I think it was a Friday afternoon, if memory serves me. We're about to drop these baits down right here. We're gonna start right here where this old original creek would have dumped out right here. I'm seeing it on the map. I'll show you here. You probably can't see now with the glare, but the old creek come out right here. I got a little X right there, a little waypoint there. See how this comes off? See how we went off the top of the drop? It comes down, and now right here it's starting to level out. We want our baits right there in that corner. All the way up this ledge is where we want. And there's actually some bait. You can maybe see right there. Again, the glare is terrible this hour of the day. But there's some bait right there on just above that. But we want to be right here. So we're going to drop these baits down, and we're going to start here and work our way back toward that other creek up there toward where the car is. So anyway, my stupid neighbors, they hired this guy, Bobcat Man. And if memory serves me, I'm pretty sure he showed up on a Friday afternoon, worked a couple hours before dark, and then worked the weekend. And I'm watching this guy work out there, and immediately I know he doesn't know what the hell he's doing, because he's not. When I've seen people on bobcats before that know what they're doing, and obviously know what they're doing, they work through an area, they finish an area, and then they move on to the next. This guy, he'd do a little bit over here along the fence, then he'd run up behind their house and do a little bit. Next thing you know, he'd be over here. Like, he's running all over the place, but he's not really accomplishing anything. And so I go out, what day, was it Saturday? He showed up on a Friday evening, and it was either Saturday or Sunday. I can't remember, but anyway, I can't remember what day it was. But anyway, I'm in my house, I'm minding my own business. And I hear yelling and hollering going on outside. And I think it's the girl that lives in front of me, because she's had some domestic stuff going on down there. Like, I've seen some awesome arguments going on down there. Like, I'll just set up on my carport sometimes and just watch it go down. So I'm thinking it's her, so I go outside real quick, and I'm like creeping around, you know, to get up there by my carport, thinking that it's her, but it's the people over there with the Bobcat Man. And the girl's standing up there on her porch, and of course I've missed most of the argument by this point in time. But part of the gist of what I was able to hear was like, you've been out here this long, this is all you've got done? You know, she was pissed because he hadn't accomplished anything. So he worked the the weekend there, and I'm expecting to see him back on, I went fishing that following Monday, and I'm expecting when I get home, I'm gonna see him, right? Because he ain't nowhere near done. He didn't, I mean, he made a mess. He hadn't accomplished nothing. He's gone. He's done loaded up the bobcat, like he's gone, and he ain't never been back. So they cleared off. They didn't even clear off all the way really to the fence. They knocked down some trees and brush right there to basically make a visual pathway between my house and theirs, which has eliminated my ability to pee off my back porch and patio whenever I want to. But it didn't really clear out that area for them to expand their yard, which I assume was what they were wanting to do. So anyway, the stuff that this guy did clear with the bobcat, he had made and this was stupid too, because the time of the year, it was like late winter, everything was wet. Again, me, layperson here, not knowing what the hell I'm doing, just common sense would think, instead of making a bunch of small piles of debris, which is probably going to be difficult to catch on fire as wet as it was, you would think you would want everything in one big pile so that once you got the fire going, you could keep it hot and try to get it as big as possible to burn all of that wet stuff, right? Well, he had one big pile down here, which got put into their actual yard. Like if they were hoping to expand their yard, they actually lost part of their yard because he moved a bunch of that debris over in it to try to burn, which never burns. So it's still there. Plus there was a bunch of smaller piles of debris, which didn't burn. So they've got all these debris piles. And now we're into summertime. Guess what? All that kudzu that didn't get properly cleared off, guess what it's doing now? It's growing. And it's growing quickly. Every day it's just getting bigger and bigger. So it's going to take over that entire area again. Everything that got the piss poor job that he done clearing, total waste of time. Total waste of time, because the kudzu is going to take it all back over. So I don't know what they paid that guy, but they got ripped off. Like he just went out there and played around. He might have been just learning on the job. Like he might have just got that bobcat. Or it might have been somebody that was like, oh, sure, I know how to use a bobcat. I can do it. And then he goes and rents one or something and has no clue what the hell he's doing. But we're getting pushed up on this ledge here. We're going to get everything snagged if we ain't careful. But yeah. But all he did, the one thing he did accomplish, and it's a detriment to me, was he knocked out the taller brush between me and them, between our houses. So now there's like a visual path there. So I can't just go out. I used to in the wintertime when things would die off, I'd have to use the indoor plumbing a little more. But in the spring and summer months, while everything's grown up, I could go outside and pee whenever the urge hit. And I didn't have to worry about it. But not anymore. Now it's got to be after dark. Or I got to go on the other side of my house. That's usually what I do. Something liberating about peeing outside. At one point, I'd even thought about building me a commode out there, like a little outhouse. But I never did. But yeah, folks, that's my dumbass neighbors. They got ripped off. I guess, best I can figure, they either spent their entire yard budget on that one fella and didn't have any more money left over to finish the job with somebody that could actually finish the job, or they got so frustrated with him and what an ordeal he was, they were like, you know what? We don't need a bigger yard after all. Our yard, it's just fine the way it is. Hell with it. I'm guessing one of those two situations happened. I know I personally have kind of been in that situation a few times, because you can't find good help anywhere. Nobody shows up when they say they're going to. They do a lousy job. I mean, I hired some guys a few months ago build me a lean-to on my shed. And I had a leak in my shed there on both sides of the roof. It was some water damage. And I hired them to come out, and they didn't show up when they said they were going to. And when they did show up, they worked part of a day, said they got the wrong materials or something, so it's got to come back. Well, it was raining that afternoon. They did a half-ass job. They didn't even put a tarp over my shed. They did a half-ass job laying some plywood over it to get through the night. I go out there to get something out of my shed, and the water's just pouring down all over everything because they'd done a half-ass job. I was pissed. I called, cussed them out, you know. And it's like, you know, now, and they finished the job, and I noticed afterwards when the lean-to, obviously the lean-to runs off the shed at an angle so water can drain this way, right? But when you go down and you look at the lean-to like farther down the yard, you can see it also slants this way because they didn't even line it. Like they just done a piss poor job. I wouldn't recommend them to anybody. And but that's how it is. Unless you can do it yourself, you just can't trust the work's going to be done right. It's just, and if you do find somebody nowadays that's reputable and knows what they're doing and will actually show up when they say they're going to and do the job for the price they quote you at, if you find somebody like that, they're booked out for months because they're so rare. They're so few and far in between. You're lucky you get a call back from them because they got so much work. That'd be my best advice to anybody that's young and thinking about what you're going to do when you grow up. Learn a trade. All these kids today want to be YouTubers and TikTokers. Hell no. If you want to make money in the next 10, 20 years, you need to learn a trade. Learn a skill, something that you can monetize and sell. A carpenter, a welder, any kind of construction skill. I mean, electrician, plumber, like jobs like that. When something goes wrong at your house and you need something fixed, when your heat and air unit goes out or your septic backs up or something, you got a pipe bust, you need it fixed. You need it fixed now. But you can't find anybody worth a damn. So if you're young and out there and you're willing to work a little bit, learn a skill. As few people as you can find now that's willing to work and it's competent, I can only imagine what the demand is going to be in another 5-10 years. Because usually nowadays, there's your fish, finally. Maybe our drought's coming to an end here. He's got it, buddy. He's got it on the chicken. I'm getting us another one. Oh, he's gone. Such a tease. I thought he had it. Did he get the bait? Let's fix it. I thought we was going to get us another one there, folks. Thought the old chicken was going to get us one. Down it goes. Chicken strip, chicken nugget, raw chicken. All the people in the comment box be telling me I should have put some garlic or some Kool-Aid on it. That's what they'll be telling me. But when you do find somebody today that's worth a damn, most of the time, it's an older person. They're in their 50s usually, or older. You know, because they're from that generation that worked and took pride in their work. And so you get one of them, they actually show up when they say they're going to. They do a good job. They finish the job for the price they quoted you. But what happens here in another 10 years, 15 years, 20 years when that generation of workers is retired? Who's going to do it then? Oh no, we caught a stick over here. Now we're reeling the stick into us. There we go. But there's not going to be anybody, is what I'm getting at. So we're going to need some people in these skilled labor jobs, things that you just can't do on your own. I mean, I can, when it comes to putting a fish finder on a kayak, I've got enough electrical skills. I can put the wire crimps on and splice my wires together and stuff, right? If I need to change the lights on my kayak trailer, I can do that. But if I need to run electricity from my house to my shed, I can't do that. You know, I don't have those skills. If my heat and air unit goes out, I can't fix that. When it's time to replace the roof on my house, I can't do that. You gotta have people that have skills available and are willing to work, and we just don't have that anymore in this country. And so I don't know what's gonna happen in another 10 years when the few people left who are worth a damn decide they're ready to retire. And if they're smart, they're putting back their money right now because, I mean, they can charge whatever the hell they want. These people today, if you can find one to show up, I mean, there's value in that in itself. They can name their price. So that'd be my advice to anybody that's trying to figure out what they want to do in life. Don't be, and it ain't that you can't be a YouTuber or a TikToker. You can do that and do whatever these skills are. You can do both. But definitely have a skill of some kind that you can, because you'll always have work. I mean, if you got carpentry skills, electrical skills, you know, these specialized jobs, like, you'll never be unemployed. You'll always have even if just working for yourself, you don't have to work for anybody, you can work for yourself. Name your price, name your hours. So, anyway, that's my take on life right there, folks. That's my advice to anybody looking to get into the workforce. I'm fortunate, knock on wood, I don't have any more big projects. I thought real hard about the whole lean-to. I've wanted a lean-to for a long time, but I didn't want to deal with people to have one put up. And I certainly couldn't do it myself. But when my shed started leaking, I was kind of forced to. I was going to have to do something with that anyway. And so it's like, if somebody's going to be out there and they're going to be fixing the roof of my shed, why not just go ahead and add that on while I'm having it done? And if those guys, you know, I was going to say if they showed up when they said they were going to, and if they had put a tarp over my shed like they should have before the rains came, which they knew were coming, it wouldn't have been that bad of a job, but still, they still done a lousy job because the damn thing sets crooked. I was so pissed off that night though, y'all. When I went out to my shed, and it's just, water's literally just all over my tools and everything. I mean, it was just, I was so mad. I had to take everything out of the shed, dry everything off, WD-40 my tools and stuff, because otherwise everything's going to rust, you know. Like, it was just all because they were too damn lazy to put a tarp. Ridiculous. I let them know I was pissed too. I cussed them out. It's a wonder they showed up the next day. Well, it's rare that I get so mad I don't even remember what all I said because I was so mad. But it was one of those days. And it wasn't like they had worked all day and was just super tired or nothing. Like, they only worked 2 or 3 hours that first day because they didn't have the right materials. They didn't have the right length of tin to put on the roof of the shed. So like, they basically took most of the day off, but yet they were too damn lazy to put a tarp over the shed, knowing damn well it was going to rain. They just didn't give a crap. Y'all, this sucks. We can't catch no fish, and I don't know if it's time of day, if it's the bait, if the fish that were here have moved on. Like, we ain't catching nothing. I mean, this is awful, y'all. Oh, hell. I can't access my screen anymore either. My camera's overheated. Well, this DJI camera overheats. Fortunately, it keeps running. GoPro shuts off. Like, camera shuts completely down. DJI, the camera keeps filming for you, thankfully, but you lose access to your screen. So I can't even see how long we've been at it out here. At this point, I'll be honest with you, I'm about over it because we ain't catching nothing. We're out of good quality bait, and I'm hot. Hot's the most important part of that. It's blazing hot. These bass, I mean, here comes some more bass fishermen. I don't know how the hell they want to come out here and this heat and fish for these little 1-2 pound fish they get. I guess they ain't as hot as me though, because they're riding up and down the river 70 miles an hour. That probably helps keep them cooled off. Yeah, y'all, I'm gonna make my way back up here. Actually, you know, I don't even think I'm gonna do that. I think I'm gonna reel up and get the heck out of here. So even if I troll my way back up here like I'm doing, I ain't confident we're gonna get any more. I ain't got no more skipjack heads. All we got's there's the scraps, the tails, and that one bluegill. So I think I'm done with it for the day, y'all. But hey, you know what? For the 3 skipjack we had out here, by gosh, we rocked it, man. We got a lot of fish, and we got some good quality fish. We made those 3 skipjack. We made them count, by golly. So I'm going home happy today. Anytime I can come out and get this many fish and get some good quality fish too, hey, worth the drive. I'm definitely going home happy. But I do think I'm gonna reel up and get the heck out of here. Probably, I'm supposed to have my windshield replaced tomorrow afternoon. So I'll probably go ultralight fishing for a little while in the morning. If I get on some fish there, which I'm sure I will, ultralight fishing, so that'll probably be the next video. And then, yeah, we'll do another catfishing video. I'll probably come back down here again soon, whenever I get some bait. Whenever I find some skipjack again, maybe we'll take the other side over there and work our way down toward that next bend. That may be the next catfishing trip, unless I take off and go to Ohio before then. But anyway, y'all, thanks for coming with me today. Hope you had fun. I had fun out here. Hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, we'll do it again soon. I'll see you on the next trip.